The interaction, it was smooth. You know, we had talked with the cornerback coach, man. We just had a couple interactions that went good. Man, I just feel like my IQ and my instincts when I'm out there on the field is just unmatched. So ended up last season with 18 pass deflections. You know, they brought me in. I'm coming to change the program around. You know, Raiders, man, just crazy, man. Just the franchise history, man. Raiders just an excellent foundation, man. So it's just so real. You know, just growing up, I always wanted to be in the NFL, and I finally here. So I'm not taking it lightly. You know, I'm just all gas, no brakes.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies. Here's your boy Q.
It is Aloha Friday here on RaiderNation Radio 920. You hear the sounds of Hezekiah Massis coming in, and Hezekiah Massis is a guy that I don't think is probably being talked about quite enough here as everyone gets ready for training camp coming up tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week. Obviously, the rookies, they did report yesterday, and so they're in the building. They're already at the facility. They're getting everything together, right? And they're getting ready for what is a amazing opportunity for training camp to show who they are and show what they could be for this organization moving forward. But again, Hezekiah Massis, to me, is a guy that's probably not being talked about enough as far as I'm concerned. It is Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. We are in one of my favorite places here in town to be. If we're not going to be in studio, if I'm not going to be in Studio Q, why not be here at Treasure Island TI, the Golden Circle Sportsbook? Parking is free. That's the easiest thing to do. Just slide on in. Parking is always free. It's easy to get right down to where I'm at, like I said, here in the sports book. And they've got everything that you can imagine. They got the TVs. They got the bar. They've got all kind of food specials. They got the betting kiosk. So if you want to get your betting on, you want to get some, play some bets, you could do that. You want to get your gaming on, they got some machines right here. My triple-double diamond is located right around the corner. I may or may not be able to, point you in the right direction if you're looking for it. But it's a one-stop shop. It's got everything that you can imagine right here in one place. And so, of course, we do encourage you, if you are in or around town, to come hang out with us. It's not that often that I get to get out of studio or get out of Studio Q and go on what I like to call a field trip. But I'm on a field trip today, baby, and it's Friday. So come on down here, hang out with us at Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI. That is Treasure Island, where parking is always free. Got my man Ari back in the Lotus Broadcasting Studio, and since he's AI generated, we don't bother taking him on the road with us. He's not a real fixture, right, Ari?
Too expensive, the AI. Too much money.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, you know what? He made it work in his favor. So there you go. AI is too expensive to take on the road, so he's back in the Lotus Broadcasting Studios on the wheels of steel like he always is, and does a fantastic job, and we definitely do appreciate him. Coming up on the show today, Sam Warren from The Athletic. He'll join us coming up at 2:30. He's back from vacation. He's ready for training camp. He's putting out article after article after article talking about the Raiders on The Athletic, and he's newer to The Athletic, the Raiders beat for The Athletic, but does a great job. And, he's a frequent guest on the show on Friday. So he'll join us coming up at 2:30, talk about all things silver and black, including what to expect or what he's going to be looking for, probably in more particular, coming up next week. And I can tell you, Ari, I don't know if you know, but the anticipation for the Raiders in training camp is so massive.
Really?
I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, and I'm talking about outside of the Raider bubble. I'm talking about outside of just Raider Nation. I'm just talking about in general. And when you have the number one overall pick in Fernando Mendoza, that's going to obviously play a major factor and a major role. But, man, I can't tell you how many different interview requests I've had this last week, right? And especially once Fernando signed yesterday, all of a sudden it just ramped up. We were in studio yesterday with Marlon Wayans, and we had a really good time with him. And I promise you, I don't think we were off the air 30 minutes, and I already had like 2 or 3 requests, right? Just, hey, you got a couple minutes to hop on? Sure, no problem, right? And so it's so funny, man. Just there's so much conversation now around the Raiders. I was doing my ESPN show last night, Game Night. It's like, hey, we got to talk about Fernando Mendoza. I was like, oh, we're talking Raiders?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Because it doesn't happen that often, but there's a reason for everyone to want to talk about them. And then, of course, you add Ashton Genty year 2. You add Brock Bowers, who is just an absolute monster when it comes to that tight end position. And, oh, by the way, Clint Kubiak, the new head coach, who is a defending Super Bowl champ, as he was the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. So you put all that together in the blender, and you mix it all up. There's a lot of intrigue. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was in your office earlier today, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Here comes the interview call. I mean, it literally happened right in front of you.
Yeah. No, I watched. Yeah. No, it's
I mean,
great.
it's so funny because that was actually one I didn't expect. it was one of those, hey, by the way, do you got a couple minutes? And I was like, oh, I mean, yeah. Well, why not?
Brace yourself if it's a combination of like him being him and them winning or him playing well. I mean, man, you'll be.
Oh, no, it's a good problem to have.
It
Right,
is.
like
It's
I said,
great.
It's a great problem to have.
And
I'll take it.
Yeah, and the attention on the, it's good to have some attention on the Raiders for good things, but or presumably good things. But yeah,
Right.
I can only imagine all the people that probably didn't, we're not going to talk too much. Yeah, it's just the Raiders. They'll be
Right.
all in your phone.
It's just a lot of excitement. I mean, that's the general point. There's so much excitement around this team and intrigue and questions and, people being cautiously optimistic. But at the same time, it's like, well, let's pay attention to see what they have going on over there. And, it's one of those where it feels like, to me, more people want to be ahead of the curve than late to that party. And I've always been one, me, I'm always willing to be late to the party. I have no problem with that. Right, exactly, fashionably late. But a lot of people are really intrigued by this Raiders team, and so it's been cool to be able to see the interest in the Raiders. And so I'm sure Sam's getting hit up quite a bit as well to be talking about the Raiders. So he'll join us coming up at 2:30 at 3 o'clock. Trey Wingo, the Wingo Network, Straight Facts homie. He'll join us at 3. We'll scatter shoot all things NFL and, get his thoughts on the number 1 overall pick now that he's signed, sealed, and delivered, and kind of what his expectations are, knowing that he's been covering the NFL for a very, very long time. He was one of the guys that I don't want to say I grew up watching, but, I mean, obviously me and Trey go really far back, and he's been a NFL draft guy for a very long time and just all things NFL. So it's always great to pick his brain and just get his thoughts on the National Football League in general. So we'll go ahead and scatter shoot that with Trey coming up at 3. Alex Clancy, host of Locked On Cardinals. He'll join us at 4 o'clock talking all things Cardinals, as they're another team that are on the Raiders schedule. They're coming out of the NFC West. Obviously, the Raiders don't play them and see them on the regular, but they'll see them twice this year. Once they'll see them in the preseason game number 1, and then, of course, at the end of the season as well, coming out of the bye week. That's week 14. The Cardinals will be coming to town. No, they won't come to town. The Raiders go there. Matter of fact, it's not out of the bye week. They've got a home game, then the Cardinals. So it's week 17, so I stand corrected. But they're at the end of the season. So they're the first preseason game, and then they're the second to last regular season game. So we've been doing strength, weakness, and X factor for those teams that are outside of the AFC West, just to get to know them a little bit going into training camp. So our good friend Alex Clancy, host of Locked On Cardinals, will join us at 4 o'clock. And then at 4:30, I don't know if you heard, it used to be the summer of LeBron, but he finally made a decision. I like to think that I got a little bit of credit for that, Ari.
Oh, yeah?
And I know that I don't. I know that I don't, but I'm going to claim that I do.
Were there any ducks
And this is the reason why.
In this?
No. That conversation is still going on. Trust me, believe that. But last night on game night, I was on with Mia O'Brien, good friend of the show, and I said, you know how this can get resolved? It's real simple. If Adam Silver comes out and says, look, LeBron, this is the deal. I'm dropping the schedule on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. with or without you, right? This song and dance is great. You got all the attention. We know. Yes, it's your decision. You get, you've earned the right to take your time. But this is the bottom line. Come Saturday morning, 8 a.m., I'm dropping the schedule. So if you happen to go to a team and you're not on the schedule in prime time, well, we'll just take that loss. Right? That I would just draw a line in the sand and be like, you're either in or you're not. And you can let that thing drag out as long as you want. You can go a couple more weeks if you want to. I don't care. The schedule is dropping, and that's what it's going to be. So I waxed poetically about this last night on the air. I said, if I was the commissioner, that's what I'd say. And it wasn't that long after that. This morning, I'm sitting in the office there at the Littlest Broadcasting Studios, and all of a sudden get the tweet from Shams Charania. LeBron has chosen Philadelphia. Now, I don't think it has anything to do with me, but I'm going to go ahead and take credit. Because why not?
Hey, I like that. See what else you can conjure up, by the way. You want
to the timeline match, right?
Yeah. You know, I was also thinking we could win $1 million in a lottery ticket. Just put
right.
that out there.
You know what I told a lottery, you know what? I need to win. Right, exactly. You know how much I've invested in you? Now you need to invest back in me.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Just talk. Yeah, exactly. Give him the old Southern Baptist preacher talk, right?
It's been going around.
Exactly. So that's exactly what I should try to do. But since LeBron did make his decision finally, He's going to the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, that's going to be interesting. That's a very talented team. We'll bring in our good friend Andre Snellings from ESPN, Professor Dre, as I like to call him. He'll join us coming up at 4:30, and we'll talk all things LeBron and the NBA and what it means moving forward. So as you can tell, we are locked and loaded, man. We got a huge guest lineup. Of course, we'll hear from you throughout the course of the show at 702-365-9200 as we are here live at Treasure Island, TI, the Golden Circle Sportsbook, where you can see TV on top of 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 TV. Great food, drink specials. This is a one-stop shop. I mean, literally, you can come here right now, hang out, and stay here all night. And I guarantee there's plenty of things to do. You will not be lacking of entertainment. Trust and believe that. That's why I enjoy being here as much as I do. So come on out, hang out. We've got some T-shirts. We got some Raider Nation Radio 920 cups, got some koozies, and got some other prizes as well. And T.I. always provides us with some prizes. I'm sure Don and the fine folks here will come on by and hook us up sooner rather than later. So all we need is you, both on the phone line, text line, and here, Treasure Island, Golden Circle Sportsbook, one of my favorite places in town. Before we get into the opening drive, we got to hear from, we got to do a couple things. We got a lot of housekeeping to do. We got to hear from our guy, E-Rob, right? Yesterday was important. The weekend's always important. Today is as well. And why is that?
Because every day matters. The older you get, the more you start appreciating day in and day out. Because you know I can't get that time back. I'm in the business of saying, not if I would have did this or if I would have did that. I'm in the business of now.
I'm in the business of now as well. And right now, Ari, before we get into the opening drive, right now, I need you to give the word of the day. I switched it up a little bit on you.
Yeah.
I want you to give me the word of the day. Give the fine folks the word of the day so they can win the Summer of Fun, brought to you by Terribles. You can take the trip or take the cash. The trip is Southern California theme parks, and this is the last day for that. But you can also take the cash if you don't want to go to SoCal and go to the theme park, and the cash is $3,000. What's the word that they need, Ari?
The word is strong, S-T-R-O-N-G, strong. And yes, I put up my big guns when I said it.
I like that, strong. Now you're going to have someone try to text in with it
With
like
a K.
Strong.
Strong.
Right, exactly. So with that strong introduction, I do like that, and now we'll jump into the opening drive.
The opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on Raider Nation Radio 920 AM is brought to you by Paul Patta Law. It's not about the injury, it's about the recovery.
So I always tell you, Ari, that things always pop up and happen organically, and sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. And I feel like that's the case here in this situation and for the subject that I wanted to bring to the table today. Last night, signing off on game night on ESPN Radio, it was around 10 o'clock last night, Pacific time, obviously 1 a.m. Eastern time. And Sister Sledge, she does your job, right? She's the producer. She's the wheels of steel for me there on ESPN Radio. She said, hey, I got a question for you. And I said, yeah, what's that? What would you think of doing a Christmas in July show tomorrow? And I said, huh? She said, well, Christmas in July, Saturday is the 25th. So why don't we do a Christmas in July for different NFL teams? And all of a sudden I started laughing. She said, what you laughing at? I was like, yeah, we'll do it. But I'm going to do it on my local show first. So that's where I'm going with today's topic. And it's funny because today is July 24th. Tomorrow is the 25th. We all know Christmas Day is December 25th. But it makes sense. Training camp is coming up next week. The rookies already reported, but training camp comes up next week. So it's real simple. We're going to do a little Christmas in July here on Raider Nation Radio 920 Unnecessary Roughness. What is the one gift, if you could, you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? It's real simple, and it makes all the sense in the world. And, again, sometimes it doesn't have to come out of my head to be a really good topic. Sometimes it happens organically, just in regular conversation and just creative minds thinking. Sometimes Ari comes up with something and will shoot me a text or shoot me an email like, hey, what do you think about this? And we'll go and run in that direction. But I'm always open to suggestions, and when I heard it, I thought, this is perfect. A lot of Raider Nation already feels like they got their gift, right? And the Raiders got their gift by signing their franchise quarterback in Fernando Mendoza. But that's signed, sealed, and delivered. You earned that with the 3-win season. You earned that number 1 overall pick. You had that opportunity to get that quarterback, and obviously he signed his deal officially yesterday. So, again, I'll throw it out there. What is the one gift you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of the training camp, and why? And so if you're tying things together and you heard the sounds of Hezekiah Masses on the way in, that's because I told Ari, you know what? I live by the motto, DBs win games. I've been complaining for, I don't know, years on top of years, it feels like, about lack of ball production. Hezekiah Masses is a guy that has ball production. Hezekiah Masses is a guy that ABA Ivan Davis called and told us about long before the Raiders ever drafted him. All right, he's a guy that can get it done. He's a guy that also Clint Kubiak mentioned when mandatory minicamp got wrapped up, where he said, hey, Hezekiah, if you're listening, training camp, physicality, bring your physicality to training camp. So that's where I want to go. I know Hezekiah Massis has the ball skills. I know that. There's no doubt about that. I know he could be a game changer. Does he have the physicality to stack up and be able to lay it on the line and tackle, a big-time running back coming around that corner full steam ahead, or a running back or a big tight end that's coming downhill, and you got to make a business decision, and the business decision is how do you get him on the ground? Is he going to have that ability when it comes to physicality? Remember when he was drafted, Ari, we did a deep dive on all the draft picks, and one of the slight knocks on him, and probably why he dropped to the 5th round, is because he wasn't the most physical guy. So if I'm going to gift the Raiders something ahead of training camp, it's a little bit more physicality to Hezekiah Massis. Because everyone talks about trading Stooks for good reasons. Everyone talks about Jamad McCoy for good reasons. People talk about Darian Porter, 2nd year, for good reasons. But not that many people are talking about Hezekiah Massis. So that's where I'm going to plant my flag. I'm going to go ahead and say Hezekiah Massis will have a little bit more physicality, will show a little bit more physicality in training camp. So I'm not even going outside the building. And that doesn't mean you have to stay in the building. I'm staying in the building. I'm just gifting a little bit extra to someone that's already there. I was on a call earlier today with Matt and Kayla there in Sacramento talking about the Raiders, and they said, do they have the weapons, right? The storyline has been the wide receivers. Do they have wide receivers? Should they go and get Stephon Diggs, right? Maybe you think the same thing. Maybe you think, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and bring in one more wide receiver. Maybe that's the gift. Maybe you think one more weapon that they need. Maybe you think another offensive lineman. Maybe if you're just Will, you think about another linebacker because he's really focusing on that linebacking room. Maybe that's it. But what is it that you would gift the Raiders ahead of training camp, a little Christmas in July on this Aloha Friday here at TI, the Golden Circle Sportsbook, and, of course, it's all brought to you by Zippy. So definitely, and Aloha Friday makes it all that much better, don't it, Ari? don't Aloha Friday make everything good?
Oh, yeah.
It's that simple. It's that simple. So let's have a little bit of fun on this Friday, head you into the weekend the right way, and let's give some gifts. So that's what we're going to do. And, again, this comes from the brain. This was the brainchild of one Sister Sledge from ESPN Radio, of course, Game Night. And she's a great producer. She does it each and every night for me, 7 to 10 p.m. Pacific time. So let's go, 702-365. Let's get that bad boy going. I gifted a little bit more physicality to Hezekiah Massis, and so he could turn into that difference maker that we all expect him to be. And he expects him to be, as you heard what he had to say on the way in. But what says you? 702-365-9200. Like Raider Dave hit us on the text line. Q, I would gift him no injuries all season. Obviously injuries are going to happen. But to your point, injuries play such a factor. The teams that stay relatively healthy, and this is not me breaking some kind of news, but the teams that stay relatively healthy give themselves a chance. It doesn't mean that you're going to go and win 13 games. But, man, if you come out of training camp and all of a sudden you're riddled with injuries, you're already behind the 8 ball. I mean, look at the Carolina Panthers. They had a linebacker go down already. First day of training camp, boom, torn ACL. You're done. They expected a lot from that young man. His rookie year, he had 5 sacks. As soon as I think about injuries and I think about that injury to the Panthers linebacker, that torn ACL, immediately I go back to a guy we've spent a lot of time talking about, Malcolm Kuntz. Expectations were sky high for him in 24. And then tore his ACL right before the season started. And that's how it goes. And literally that one injury, I would say, and Ari, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that one injury, that torn ACL, which is obviously a big deal, that has set Malcolm Kuntz back at least 2 seasons.
Absolutely. And just a quick note, that was what I was wishing for, is Malcolm Kuntz to just get back to, I guess, whatever 100% is for him. Yeah, or what we thought he could be.
Yeah, exactly. And look, the Raiders have brought him back on a 1-year deal, coming off the 2024 ACL. And then he played last year, and he started to come on towards the end of the season. But, he literally has been held back now 2 seasons off of one injury. And that's how these things happen. Yeah, it sucks, but that's the reality of the game. And you know that you're one play away. That's why I never get mad when players want all the money that they can get, all the guaranteed money they can get, because they're one play away. You don't know if it's going to be a big-time injury. You don't know if it's going to be a little injury. You don't know if it's going to set you back a couple weeks. You don't know if it's going to set you back a couple years. You just don't know. So that's always going to be something to worry about. You can have all the talent in the world. Like we all look at the Rams and we say, man, look how talented the Rams are. Look at that defense. Look at that offense. But one guy goes down on offense, one guy goes down on defense. You're looking at a team like, oh, uh-oh. What happened here? That's what happened to 2024's Raiders defense. All of a sudden, an injury happened here, an injury happened there. That defense was kaput. Done deal records. So that's a big deal. Injuries are massive. I like that. That's a really good text to start us off as we're here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, where parking is always free. How about Barry from Baltimore? My Christmas gift to the Raiders before training camp would be a true number one wide receiver. There we go. We're going back to the wide receiver. I know there's an argument that they don't need one, and they have Bowers, but I still believe they could use one and open up Bowers even more. That's just my opinion. That's Barry from Baltimore. Look, it's the gift-giving season, right? If you come by here, where I'm at right now, we're giving gifts, right? It's the gift-giving season. The gifts keep on coming. We got T-shirts. We got koozies. We got cups. We got whatever you need. Barry says they need a number one wide receiver. Now, I don't know how you'd gift them a number one wide receiver right now unless you think that a guy like Stephon Diggs is your guy. DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if you guys saw that little nugget from him earlier today, that he's apparently in New England and he's on the coaching staff. He's helping out with the coaching staff. That was interesting. I know somebody had mentioned to me D-Hop. I know Keenan Allen's still out there. I would say he's more of a security blanket wide receiver. And I do think that could be addressed maybe after the Cardinals preseason game. If they don't like what they've seen so far in the training camp and the preseason game, they're like, yeah, this ain't working, then maybe they can go and make a move like that. And, veterans, they don't care about training camp anyway. They don't want to be there, so they're not worried if they have to wait a little bit of time. Big Brad said, the gift I would give is good health. There you go. We have too many key players where they just things just collapse after they're gone with injuries for a duration. The way things are finally lined up for this team, one long-term injury that flips the season on its head right off the bat. So I'm saying I'd continue to give health and injury-free season. So there you go. A lot of folks are focusing on health. I like that. Let us know your thoughts, 702-365-9200. What does Sean say? Q, the word of the day is strong. Well, let this sink in a bit. Okay, he's coming in strong. Hold up, man. He's coming in strong. He says strong. This is not a word I think of when it comes to LeBron's case of being the GOAT, especially after this move. Thoughts? Woo! Shots fired at LeBron. Beverly gave the thumbs down on LeBron going to Philadelphia. Yeah, I thought he was going back to Cleveland. I really did. I don't like the song and dance. I didn't like the whole dancing around and saying, oh, I haven't made my decision yet. Like, come on, dog. You knew where you were going. You knew where you were going, right? It wasn't going to take very long. And if Jaylen Brown, I put this on the Celtics, if Jaylen Brown hadn't been traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, there's not a chance he's going to Philadelphia. Not a chance, but he sees a way that he can what? Win a ring and then tell all the Michael Jordan fans that are me, I will go to my grave and tell you Michael Jeffrey Jordan is the greatest basketball player to ever do it. I don't care. I don't care what the argument is. But he wants to go there, try to win a ring, and then tell everybody, look what I did. 1-1 in Miami. Or won multiples in Miami, 1-1 in Cleveland, 1-1 in L.A., 1-1 in Philadelphia. What did your GOAT do? What did Michael Jordan do? That's all right. He won 6 with the same team. I'm good. I'm good. My argument is good. Look, you can tell me whatever you want to tell me. I don't care. It's like your kids, right? Your kid ain't got to be great, but they're great to you. Right? My kid's the greatest of all time. Well, Q. Hey, look. I'm just telling you. Jimmy in Vancouver said, hey, Q, my man, my Christmas gift to the Raiders is consecutive blackouts for all the games. By that, I mean nothing but black jerseys in the crowd. No more Donkeys, no more Chargers, no more Chiefs, Steelers. You know what I mean. Have a great weekend, my friend Jimmy in Vancouver. Did it just get dark? It just all of a sudden got dark. As soon as I started talking about the blackout, all of a sudden I thought we were about to have a Beyonce in New Orleans moment where it was literally blacked out in the stadium. It almost did that here in the Golden Circle Sportsbook. It set the mood. It's just set the mood here. So now, it's hot outside. You can come on in here, check out the TVs, and the ambiance now has been set. So it's a little bit darker in here. I like that. It's even better. Won't see the grays on my face is easy. So we'll blend in with the crowd a little bit. But, yeah, that's the thing, Jimmy. That's a good text because the thing about it is once this team either starts winning or Fernando Mendoza starts playing, you're going to see a lot more silver and black jerseys in the stadium than you normally would. Right? It's just that simple. Fernando's going to bring the hype. I mean, you saw the jerseys sell out like hotcakes on the second day of the draft. They were selling them at the facility. That stadium's going to be 15s everywhere. But once he gets into the game, there's going to be 15s everywhere. And if they start winning on top of that, look out. The stadium has a chance to be consecutive blackouts like Jimmy's talking about. But the Raiders have to do their job. They have to win games, and then when Fernando gets in, it's even going to take it to another level. Keep that feedback coming. Let me know your thoughts. 702-365-9200. Again, we're here at the Sportsbook, the Golden Circle Sportsbook, inside of TI. That is Treasure Island, where the parking is always free. Kiosks are here. TVs are here. The mood has been set. The food, the drinks, everything. It's just all you need to do is come on by and say what's up, and we'll hook you up. Got my man Mateo here hanging out on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippies. You know we appreciate them. What is the one gift you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? Let us know your thoughts. Again, the text line, 702-365-9200. Joining us next on the phone line is our guy, Sam Warren from The Athletic, talking all things silver and black. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
That was the opening drive of Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920 AM. Brought to you by Paul Padala. It's not about the injury. It's about the recovery.
If he has to play, that means one, there's an injury to Cousins, which obviously would be bad, or two, he's so good, they cannot help but put him on the field. And I should also mention, if he does get to be on the field, for the first time in a little bit, there is some talent in Las Vegas on the offensive side of the ball. Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers are just two of them. He will have some targets.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
Ian Rappaport rap sheet right there as we come in, talking about Mendoza, talking about Cousins. He was a part of NFL Live, as NFL Network and ESPN have combined the two. So you'll see rap sheet on ESPN quite a bit. You'll see other NFL Network talents on ESPN, and obviously the last week or so we've seen some ESPN talents leave the building as well. But rap sheet talking about Mendoza and Cousins, and what it would mean if Cousins wasn't playing, and it can go a couple different ways. Cousins got hurt, or Mendoza just shines. And I mean, look, Mendoza shining is a great thing. If they go ahead and play the veteran and start the veteran, that's one thing. You could also say Mendoza went out there and earned the job, as we talked about on yesterday, after he signed his contract. We are here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI. That's Treasure Island. Parking is always free. All we need to do is see you, like my man Jason just rolled up and said what's up, and you could do the same thing. Again, it's Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. Join us now on the phone lines from The Athletic is our good friend Sam Warren. And Sam, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. I know you're used to the heat. I know you're used to the weather. You cover the Houston Texans. I know it's a different heat, but hot is hot. Are you ready for training camp starting up next week?
Yeah, I'm pumped for training camp. It's been a long summer. Wanted to get back to football, so it's been a long hiatus, and it feels extra long when you're out here in this heat. So looking forward to being out there on the field, and it seems like the Raiders are doing us reporters a little bit of favors, having practices early in the morning when we have to be out there. So hopefully it won't be as bad, but bracing for being out there for a little while.
Yeah, we'll be okay. It's going to be a lot of fun, and football's back. We made it. So like you said, it seems like it's been a long time coming, but here we are. So Fernando Mendoza signs the contract yesterday. It was never a matter of if, it was about when. What did you think once the contract got signed, and how do you feel, he's stacking up as he goes into training camp next week? He's already there, but goes into training camp next week and tries to get this bad boy rolling.
Yeah, as you said, I don't think there was ever any concern about the contract. I think it was more of a formality and obviously some language stuff going on. But, I mean, he's been there. He seems excited. I think, I'm excited to see the growth that he's put in kind of in these past, month and a half or so since they departed from mandatory minicamp. So I think it's going to be definitely interesting to see, how comfortable he is now with the system. Obviously, what we saw from him in OTAs, rookie minicamp, mandatory minicamp, it was a lot of him developing, getting used to the Clint Kubiak system and playing pro ball. But how much has he grown kind of in this hiatus? What has he done by himself, and how comfortable has he gotten with the Raiders? So I'm looking forward to seeing his development. And, I think he's excited to be out there and go through his first training camp as well.
Once he signed his contract yesterday, I threw the question out there to Raider Nation. What do you think it's going to take for him to earn the job, win the job out of training camp to be the starting quarterback? So I'll throw the same question to you. What do you think it would have to take for Fernando Mendoza to get that job coming out of camp?
I think he'd have to vastly outperform Kirk Cousins, to be honest. I think it would have to be like so obvious that Fernando is the better option, that, you know, the Raiders really have no other options but to play him from the get-go. Because, you know, they signed Kirk Cousins to be kind of that veteran, be the bridge for Mendoza to not get out there immediately and be able to, you know, sit from the bench and kind of learn as he went. But, you know, if Kirk doesn't, you know, meet the mark, or Fernando is just, you know, goes out there and lights it on fire, I think they're really going to have no other options. But I think the Raiders are still planning on having that slow play and letting Kirk go out there and Fernando, you know, kind of learn as he goes. But I mean, there is another scenario where Fernando is really just kind of on it from the get-go, and they have to put him out there.
Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. So we've been doing a little Christmas in July here on the show today, and one of the answers, one of the responses was, I'd give the Raiders a true number one wide receiver. And, you know, that's been a conversation that's gone back and forth, if they have enough, if they don't have enough. Do you see a scenario where a veteran wide receiver is actually signed sooner rather than later to add to the roster, whether it's a week into training camp, a couple weeks into training camp? Do you think that there's someone out there that the Raiders could be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of talented receivers that are out there in free agency right now for one reason or another, and there's a lot of them who have experience playing in that Kubiak-style system, that Shanahan, you know, wide zone kind of play action heavy system. So, I mean, there is options out there on the free agent market. A lot of veterans that the Raiders could add, but I think, you know, the fact that they haven't added one with all those guys out there at this point in the season, or at this point in the off season, I think it speaks volumes about what we've kind of perceived from John Spytek, that he doesn't feel that the conversation around the receiver room is quite accurate. He thinks it's less of a lack of talent issue and more of a lack of opportunity issue, that these guys, they think they're going to be able to perform once they get out there on the field and they have more opportunities. So, yeah, I think there is, you know, maybe an injury happens or something like that, and maybe, you know, Spytek's wrong, and they look at the receivers and they're not performing up to the way that they want to, and they go out there on the free agent market. But I think they're keen on seeing how this current room plays out and, you know, what they can do with more chances getting on the field.
Sam Warren from The Athletic is with us here on Raider Nation Radio 920. Before Fernando Mendoza signed, Jermod McCoy signed, and he was the fourth-round pick. He was the first-round talent that dropped to the fourth round. What are your expectations? We saw him on the grass out there in OTAs and mandatory minicamp, but just a little. How do you think the Raiders go about, I guess, running him through training camp, trying to get him to the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, Clint Kubiak said at the end of mandatory minicamp that they expect Jermod to compete in training camp. They expect him to be out there, and I don't think him signing was much of a question either. It did take a little bit of while, and I think probably a lot of that was kind of figuring out the language in the contract with his, you know, injury concerns. But I think they really want to see him out there on the field and see how much that he can do. I don't know. Really, we're going to need to see how much he's able to perform during training camp to really perceive what his role is going to be on this team. Whether he's be able to handle, you know, like a starter's rep workload, or he's a guy that you kind of need to manage and maybe rotate with some other guys. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how much he's able to do. I think the talent is obvious. When we did see him on the field, he looks smooth. He looks, you know, the part of a first-round cornerback, but it's really depending on what the Raiders' management plan is with his knee, what Alex Guerrero kind of deems is best for him getting it out on the practice field, and how much he's able to do.
The gift that I gave the Raiders was a little bit more physicality for Hezekiah Masses. And the reason I did that is because Clint Kubiak mentioned that. Remember, Clint Kubiak mentioned that at the end of mandatory minicamp. You know, Hezekiah, if you're listening, right, it's what does it look like when you put on the pads? What are your thoughts on Masses? What kind of role do you think he potentially could play as a fifth-round pick?
Yeah, I think they're excited about him, especially with what we saw at the end of mandatory minicamp. He was getting out there, getting some reps with the ones, really getting kind of an elevated look, being out there with some veterans. So I think they're really excited about what Masses can do. And obviously the production in college speaks for itself with the pass deflections that he had, the interceptions, and that was really what the secondary was lacking last year with the Raiders. So I think they're excited about what he can do. We'll see, if those reps continue kind of coming into training camp, if he's able to keep up once the physicality gets up. But from what we saw when the pads were off, it seems like he's not scared. Like he's going to put hands on NFL receivers. He's going to be out there. He's going to be feisty. So we'll see. He's a little bit undersized as a corner. And that kind of gets exposed once the pads comes on. But I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do with his opportunities.
What do you think about the competition in the secondary anyway, in general, when you go out and you draft 4 guys in the secondary, a couple safeties and corners, and then you also trade for Teron Johnson? What does that competition look like to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to really find out once we know what Rob Leonard's defense is all about. There's so many different things that we saw them doing in kind of OTAs and mandatory minicamp. There's a ton of versatility over the field, and Leonard and his staff has said as much that that's really a quality that they covet and they really want in their secondary. So I think there's going to be a lot of guys vying for a bunch of different positions, and maybe it's not a kind of prototypical starting sitting kind of situation, but maybe it's a lot of guys playing at different positions, kind of being mixed around, matched around. Really being able to kind of deploy different packages as they see fit. So I think there's a lot of guys that they like, a lot of guys that are going to be competing for a lot of playing time, but I think there's going to be guys that can play behind them as well.
Well, we'll close out with this, and fantastic stuff as always. Sam Warren from The Athletic with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. We'll close out with the big elephant in the room, and that's the big uglies up front. What do you think that competition is going to look like? We know Tyler Linderbaum is the center. Colton Miller, when healthy, is always going to be the left tackle. How does the rest of this offensive line shape up to you?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably, outside of how Fernando looks in training camp, that's probably the biggest question of this upcoming month for the Raiders. I think there's, as you said, Linderbaum and Colton Miller pretty much have center and left tackle locked down. But there's a lot of different guys who could slot into that left guard, right tackle spot. So interested to see where Trey Zune plays, if they continue to move him inside or if they have him competing with DJ Glaze out at the right tackle spot. And I think, the guard competition is going to be one of the most closest competitions in training camp, because there's a lot of different guys that have starting experience or have the talent to be starters, that are going to be, pushing each other. So I'm interested to see how Spencer Burford does when he comes over. There's, been a lot of compliments about Caleb Rogers, and what he's going to be able to do in his second year. And then, Jackson Powers Johnson in a pivotal year for him, what he's going to bring coming into training camp. So that's definitely something that I'll have my eye on once we get out on the field next week.
Yeah, it's going to be intriguing. There's some really good storylines, some easy built-in storylines for the Raiders, and obviously there'll be some storylines that we didn't see coming that we'll realize as well starting next week when training camp gets going full throttle. Well, really good stuff as always, Sam. I see you've been cranking out articles ever since you got back from vacation. What are you working on, my man, that you got that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so still working on some longer-term things, and then, I'm looking forward to getting out there and actually doing a little bit more reporting and some observing once training camp starts next week. So resting up a little bit this weekend, and then we're full go come Tuesday and Wednesday. So I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, hey, we are as well, man. We made it. Congratulations, right? Training camp is here. It's back to football activities, and I know you'll have it covered like a glove. You do a fantastic job. Sam, thanks so much for your time, my man. Appreciate you, and have a fantastic weekend.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Q. Have a great weekend.
All right, you do the same. That's how we roll. Sam Warren right there from The Athletic. Great job, and definitely encourage you to follow him on Twitter at SamWarren83. And, yes, I still call Twitter. I actually had someone hit me up today, or someone tweeted at me. No, someone tweeted at me. I think there was like some thread that was going on, Ari. It's like, who still calls Twitter Twitter? And they're like, Q does. I was like, yes, I do. I always will. I don't need to call it X, man. It ain't Malcolm. No. Right? It is what it is. It's Twitter.
All the best people Just period. All the great people call it Twitter. Boom. That's
to be honest, I don't even like Twitter. I mean, you want to keep it a buck, I don't even like it.
I like Twitter better than X. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, look, man, I tell you all the time, I don't care to be I don't want to sound like the grumpy old man, but once this whole thing is all done, guess what? Your boy's off the grid. Right? You're going to have to send an SOS. You're going to have to send a Mai Tai. You're going to have to do something to find me. It ain't going to be easy, man. I'm going to be off the grid once this is all said and done, and hopefully that's no time soon, but at the same time,
jumping in the DMs. That's it.
Yeah, there will be no DMs, right? The only thing I'll be jumping into is the damn ocean. That's what I'll be doing, and hoping I can figure out how to swim. They tell me that you can't drown. They say that you'll float, but I don't buy that one.
Be all right. Where'd you learn that on Twitter?
Well, someone, I thought everything on the internet was real.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Somebody told me that you can't drown, so I'm going to test it. I'm just going to jump in, and I'm supposed to be able to float. What happened to Q? He believed what he heard on the internet.
He thought Andre was really a doctor.
Exactly.
The doctor said it'd be okay. So
it said
on Twitter.
It said in his bio that he's a professor.
Right.
So I thought he knew what he was talking about. That's
really why you call it Twitter, not X. Boom.
Exactly. So with that being said, hit up Sam on Twitter at SamWarren83, and of course he works for The Athletic, does a great job, and he's with us each and every Friday around 2:30. We are here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI. Treasure Island parking is always free. Come on by, say what's up. Matter of fact, the fine folks here at TI have already dropped off some extra prizes, so you can get some Raider Nation Radio 920 prizes. You can get some Treasure Island prizes as well. Just come on by and say what's up. 702-365-9200. Christmas in July. What's the one gift you'd give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? Let us know your thoughts. We hear from you next. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
Who doesn't love Aloha Friday? I do. Shout out to Zippies. Shout out to the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, Treasure Island, where parking is always free. We're here till 5 o'clock. We definitely encourage you to come on by. They've got the high-limit tables. They've got the gaming. They've got the betting kiosks. They've got all the food and drinks and everything you can imagine, happy hour specials. All they need is you, and all we need is you to come on by and say what's up. And, of course, you can hit us up on the text line, the phone line as well, 702-365-9200, as it's Christmas in July on this Aloha Friday. What's the one gift you'd give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? Let's go ahead and go out to Flagstaff, talk to our guy, Raider John. Raider John, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's happening on Q? Happy Friday to you.
Yes, you too.
Well, what I want on Christmas is I want health. I want perfect health for one Kirk Cousins. And the reason why I asked that, Q, is because of this. I think people might have been asking the wrong question about when is Fernando going to start. I think you got to start with the idea of what did Kirk Cousins sit down and sign that contract pen to paper with way back in the early day? What did Cliff Kubiak say to him? Because I think he might have said something like this. Listen to me how I say this now. Hey, Kirk, if you're healthy and you have a healthy season like you did before you went to Atlanta and got hurt, and you go ahead and you lead this club, I need Fernando to watch everything about what's going to happen during the season. In other words, I need him to see how you look at the team when they have a 2 or 3 game winning streak. How do you come to work? What do you say to the team? How do you lead them when they're on a winning streak that they haven't had in years? Is that a far-fetched idea? It might be. But what's even more is how do you handle the 3 or 4 game losing streak? What does Kirk Cousins show Fernando during that time frame? If they're competitive, like if the team is competitive when they go out and play, there's no reason to pull Kirk Cousins because he's teaching Fernando what he needs to see, not just on the game, not just the X's and O's, but everything that you brought him in to show him. So in a perfect world, he's healthy. He's just like he is in Minnesota. And Fernando is watching all of the ups and downs. Now, if they're competitive, they might be, 500. Now, at one point you say, well, okay, now you got to put Fernando in because, the year is full of teaching and learning and part of how to handle all the intangibles. And that's what I think the answer is. Kirk Cousins will have the job up until he feels that he can't do it because maybe his health is not taken away, or if things start to get out of control, I don't think they necessarily go right to Fernando. I think they might even go to Aiden. And so you see, I think that's what this is all about. I believe they really do want Kirk Cousins to be competitive, take him all the way as far as he can go, and if he can touch a little bit of that playoff a fever catching in December, so much the better. He's learning the whole way. Hey, have a good weekend, Q. Thank you.
Hey, you do the same, man. Appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. Really good call. And, yeah, I mean, look, health for Kirk Cousins. There is a reason why he put pen to paper. There is a reason why he decided to come to Las Vegas, knowing that Fernando Mendoza was going to be the number 1 overall pick. Obviously, the situation that he was in Atlanta when he signed as a free agent, and then all of a sudden they blindsided him, and they drafted his replacement at number 8 overall instead of, I don't know, going and drafting another weapon or an offensive lineman or someone on the defense to make the defense better and give them a competitive opportunity. They didn't do that. Now, obviously, when you look back at it, you say, okay, it made sense because he wasn't healthy yet. He wasn't back from the injury that he suffered while he was a member of the Vikings when he tore his Achilles, and he was still coming back. And you saw what happened to him when he came to Allegiant Stadium. He didn't look like himself. But I can tell you from being out there, he looks a lot better than he did that Week 15 game when he came to Allegiant Stadium and played against the Raiders when he was a member of the Falcons. He looks a whole hell of a lot better. His movement is a whole hell of a lot better. So if he can do that and stay healthy, it gives Fernando Mendoza the opportunity to do exactly what Raider John just said, is learn from osmosis by observing and seeing how it all shakes out. And if you remember, that's what Clint Kubiak said at the owners' meetings. And he used the exact words that Raider John said. In an ideal world, right, that's what you want. And we all know that it's not an ideal world, especially in the National Football League or pro sports in general. Curveballs will be thrown your way. How many curveballs can the Raiders either avoid or how many curveballs can they knock out the park? Right? I mean, the curveball is the hardest ball to hit, right? You know, all my baseball players out there know that. The fastball, you could time it. You get me on the in the batting cage, man, with the fastball, I can hit that bad boy. You throw a little curveball in it, man. Take a little something off that bad boy. All of a sudden, got me swinging out early and everything, looking silly up there, right? The curveballs is what difficult. So how do the Raiders manage that? How do they maintain that? Is there going to be a curveball thrown their way when it comes to, you know, Kirk Cousins and their health, or the Raiders' health in general? Trey Wingo, the Wingo Network, Straight Facts Homie, joins us to kick off hour number 2 of the show. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
Every team says, yeah, we're going to let this guy sit for a while, and then like week 3, they're in the lineup the first chance they get because there's no reason to draft these guys with top 5 picks. You want to see them play sooner rather than later. Mendoza, I mean, he was so poised last year at Indiana. It seemed like he was so prepared. Everything about the guy, you know, we hear is that he's an incredibly prepared, incredibly thorough person. And so I think all of that points to him playing sooner rather than later.
It's Unnecessary Roughness. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right. Here's your boy Q.
That was ESPN's Bill Barnwell from yesterday here on this show, Unnecessary Roughness on RaiderNation Radio 920, talking about Fernando Mendoza after he signed his rookie contract. Not that it was ever a question, was he going to get it done? It was just a matter of what timing was it going to be, and they got it done the day the rookies reported for camp. So he was talking about Fernando Mendoza and when he should start. And, of course, that's the hot topic when it comes to the Raiders in the quarterback position. Again, Unnecessary Roughness, RaiderNation Radio 920. Join us now on the phone lines is our guy, Trey Wingo, the Wingo Network, Straight Facts Homie. And, Trey, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. And I know you don't mind a little Aloha Friday in your life, do you?
You got that right, my friend. Never, ever, ever a problem with that.
Exactly. You've covered the league for a long time. You know how these high draft picks go, and everyone wants to see them immediately. Is there a right formula to when a quarterback should be thrown into the mix like Mendoza's in that opportunity now?
No, it all depends on the quarterback. I mean, let's go back and look at Patrick Mahomes. He sat for an entire year behind Alex Smith. Bo Nix came in and started right away. Drake May came in and started right away. It all depends on the player. It all depends on whether or not they think he's ready. And, you know, the great Bill Barnwell, whom you just had on your show yesterday, I think is right. The one thing that you don't need to worry about with Fernando is he mature enough for the moment? I think we've seen that from him through his collegiate days, especially at Indiana, that's not going to be a problem for him. And I also think, Q, I think we talked about this when the signing went down. The idea that they went out and got Ravens center Tyler Linderbaum is an indication to me that they want to start him sooner rather than later, because that guy is not, if not the best, he's one of the top 2 or 3 best centers in the league. And what does the center do? He makes sure everybody's protection is set up straight. So they're going to make sure that whenever Fernando goes in there, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, they'll be in the best position to protect him, unlike, say, the beating Cam Ward took a year ago in Tennessee.
Yeah, Cam Ward definitely took a beating in Tennessee. And, the Raiders' offensive line was really bad last year. And, Trey, that's been one of my things as they're switching to this zone blocking scheme. How quickly can they figure this offensive line scheme out, and how quickly can they come together? I think that's one of the big boxes that they want to check before they throw Fernando out there.
I agree. And, it's interesting, right? Like, more than anything, what an offensive line needs is time together to be cohesive. We're going in the way back machine here when the Cowboys were actually relevant when it comes to Super Bowls. But when they got their offensive line together for the late 80s and early 90s, they were one of the worst offensive lines of the year in the league. And then within 1 or 2 years of playing together, all those guys became the Great Wall of Dallas. So it's a little more difficult now, obviously, with free agency and how quickly you have to move on from certain players. But the best antidote for an offensive line is time, and time together and cohesion. That is the most tied together unit of any position in football. You can have a Junior Seau or a Troy Polamalu going nuts from a linebacker or safety position. You have to have everybody in sync on that offensive line. And they can talk about zone blocking all they want. There will be zone blocking. There will be man blocking. There will be all kinds of things they're going to do.
What do you think about Ashton Jeanty going in year 2? There's been a lot of conversations about, was that the right decision to get him at number 6, even though he really didn't have an offensive line to even help him out a little bit last year?
Yeah, Ashton Jeanty, I think, after a good preseason game, said, "I've arrived." And I remember shaking my head. I'm like, nobody arrives in the preseason. That's not how this works. But I think the entire organization is better. I think that's the thing that I think Raider fans need to understand, is that I honestly believe they're doing things the right way for the first time in a long time. I think they have a system in place from the front office perspective to the coaching staff that is doing things in a professional way and in a way that isn't haphazard. Oh, well, let's try this year. Let's try this year. Look, the thing about having the number 1 pick, you want the number 1 pick when there's someone worthy of the number 1 pick, especially a quarterback. Like the last couple of years, maybe that hasn't been the best case scenario, that the number 1 overall pick is guaranteed to be, or not guaranteed, but you hopeful to be close to as much as being the guys they possibly can be. And I think with the way Fernando played, he's as close to being that guy as he can be. You don't want to have the number 1 pick in a year where there's really not a quarterback worthy of that position. So I think the Raiders were fortunate in that situation, and I think the drafting of Jeanty and Bowers in recent drafts, I think, is going to help that, because the best thing for Fernando Mendoza is to have a tight end and a running game for him to rely on, and I think you do have a good running back, and I think you got a really good tight end for him to rely on.
Trey Wingo is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Unnecessary roughness. The other weapon, not the tight end, not the running back, is always going to be the wide receiver, and there's questions about, can those guys go? Can they be that guy to be that complement to Brock Bowers? Can you see a scenario where maybe a couple weeks into training camp, if it's not really looking the way that Clint Kubiak and company wants it to look, maybe they go out and sign a veteran like a Stephon Diggs if he's still out there available?
Yeah, but the question is, why is Stephon Diggs still available, right? He's looking for his 4th team in 4 years, right? That's the thing. No one has ever questioned Stephon Diggs' ability. My God, the things he did in Minnesota, and then the things he was able to do with Josh Allen in Buffalo. Then all of a sudden, well, that wasn't working. Let's go to Houston. Then all of a sudden, that wasn't working. Then let's go to New England on a 1-year deal. There's a reason. There's a reason these guys go team to team in their prime and don't stick anywhere. And that's the part of this that I think is giving the Raiders caution on this, because they have a young quarterback, because they have a first-year head coach. Do you want a guy who's going to go in there and basically do what he wants and get away with it because he's so talented, or do you want a guy that you believe you can develop and then will believe in you the way they believed in him? And I think that's always the debate, because it's never about talent. Almost everybody in the league is talented. It's about, can we get guys to be cohesive? Can we get guys to buy into a team concept? Can we get guys that will do the things that are necessary for us to be successful as a team on and off the field. And clearly that's the issue when it comes to Diggs. His ability is not the question. His ability to be a productive part of a system, and that is a team-based concept, is the issue.
Yeah, it is. That's a great point that you drop right there. Trey Wingo is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Speaking of talented wide receivers who may not ever play again, what in the hell do you think of this situation with Brandon Ayuk?
You know, he doesn't have an agent, and I think that's the biggest problem, is there's nobody telling him to stop doing this. I mean, everybody knows he's not going to play for the 49ers. Everybody knows that the Commanders are interested. So all he's doing is making it more difficult for the 49ers to trade him and the Commanders to be interested in him. And he and Jaden Daniels go way back. People forget before Jaden won a Heisman at LSU, he was at Arizona State when Brandon Ayuk was there, when Herm Edwards was running the show there. And Brandon is a guy who's right now is costing himself potentially a career and definitely a lot of money because of the way he's handling things. And it makes you wonder where he is mentally and what his condition is, because everything he does is contradictory to him getting what he wants. So he's right now his own worst enemy.
Yeah, I mean, it just really, I just feel like the people around him or whoever's not around him needs to be around him. You know what I mean? It seems like whoever he's listening to are the wrong people, and he needs some people that actually really love him around him, because he's making a lot of bad decisions, Trey.
I agree. Look, what is your stated goal is what I would ask. What are you trying to accomplish? Because whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever it is, you're hurting that from happening. So you need to stop doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. No doubt about it. Trey Wingo with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. You mentioned the Cowboys earlier. I was pretty impressed with what Brian Schottenheimer was able to do as a head coach last year. What do you think about this team this year? And I know they have a new look defense, but we don't know if it's going to be good. But what do you think about this team heading into training camp?
I think they have the potential to be very good. Obviously that was the worst defense in the history of the Cowboys franchise last year, literally the worst in the history of the franchise. So it made the Micah Parsons trade even more glaringly a mistake. Now, they get Quinnen Williams. They now have Rashawn Gary and Kenny Clark. If you look at their depth chart, though, if Damarian Overshown can stay healthy, and that is a big if, I want to be clear. That's a big if. If they can keep all those guys healthy, they have 5, 6, 7 guys deep that can rush the passer. I think Caleb Downs might have been the smartest player in the draft. Obviously, they still have some issues at cornerback even after letting go of Diggs. Deron Bland, who set that record for the most pick sixes a couple years ago, there's a reason that happened. They didn't want to throw to the other guy, so they're picking on you. I mean, that's how this works. Deion Sanders didn't have a lot of interceptions. No one threw his way. They didn't want to get burned. That's how this. That's how it goes.
Right. Yeah.
So I still think they're a little bit liable in the secondary. I think their offensive line is very good. For all the things the Cowboys have done wrong, if you go look at going back to Zach Martin and Tyron Smith, they draft offensive linemen very well. They've done a really good job replacing and replenishing that offensive line. I think they got the running back situation taken care of. Obviously, they're very talented at wide receiver, and they have Ferguson as a tight end and Dak Prescott. But the Cowboys, unfortunately, are one of those teams like the Ravens or the Bills. No matter what they do in the regular season, it's going to be, okay, now prove it. And the problem is you can't get to prove it in the postseason until you do well in the regular season, but nobody's going to care about regular season results because every team in the NFC has been to a championship game, and I mean the conference championship game, except Dallas, since Dallas last won the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 30, and we're playing Super Bowl 61.
Yeah, we are. Super Bowl 61 will be in L.A., and Trey will actually close out with that. Everyone's talking about the Rams are going to host Super Bowl 61 like they hosted the last Super Bowl that was at SoFi Stadium. How do you see this NFC West? How do you see this thing playing out between the Rams, the Seahawks, the defending champs, and the 49ers?
Well, I ran into Mike McDonald at Tahoe a couple of weeks ago in the American Century. And, I said, boy, everybody's talking about everyone but you. And he's like, yeah, we like it that way. And that's great, and it does give them motivation, but there's a reason the Rams are the betting favorite. I believe Aaron Donald's going to come out of retirement. And if you put Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald on the same defensive line, let me take Liam Neeson's line from the movie Taken, good luck, because you can't double both those guys. You can't do it. And now they get both the cornerbacks from the Chiefs and Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. They have an offense. The offense of the Rams, by the way, was the only offense last year from middle of November on that could score at all against Seattle's defense. They had that crazy Thursday night game in Seattle with the 2-point conversion that wasn't, and it was, and that flipped where the NFC Championship game was going to be, and then the playoff game. The Rams scored points on Seattle's defense in both of those games, and now they have a defense top to bottom that is significantly better than the defense they brought into those games, both of those games last year. The Rams have every reason to be the betting favorite going into this season.
Yeah, that defense looks like it's going to be nasty, and you know that they're going to score a lot of points, so Myles Garrett will have an opportunity to close out a lot of games. Well, Trey, no longer are we waiting on LeBron James to make a decision. He chooses the 76ers. What are your quick thoughts on LeBron to Philly?
You bet. It's hard for me to get interested in that kind of stuff anymore. Like, hey, I hope it works out. They got right. An interesting team. They got Embiid. They got Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, and there's a lot of talent there. And we'll see. I'm not buying into where's LeBron. I wasn't buying into LeBron holds our summer hostage part 4. I just had no interest. Just tell me where you're playing, and we'll see how it plays out.
I'll tell you what, I felt like it was in my contract that I had to talk about him every night. I'm just glad he's made the decision.
Yeah.
Now I just got to talk about what it's going to look like in Philadelphia in the East. But that's okay. I'd rather talk about that than where is he going to go, like where's Waldo. So there is that. Well, Trey, great stuff as always. What are you working on, man? What do you got cooking that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh, we got some very exciting stuff besides Trey Wingo and Trey Wingo Golf on YouTube and the podcast channels. We're about to launch Inside Football with myself, Hall of Famer Chris Carter, Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher, former head coach Marvin Lewis, and longtime GM Steve Keim. We just taped a bunch of episodes to preview the season this past week, and we're going to be going on the road for training camp starting next week. It's going to be a lot of fun, boys and girls.
I'm excited about that, and I'm not trying to bring up no mess, but it kind of feels like that's a great response to everything that's been going back and forth on social media about who did this and who did that when it comes to NFL Live. I think that's going to be a hell of a show that you're putting together right there.
I appreciate you, brother, and my thing is very simple. Numbers don't lie. So you can come with your opinions. You can't come with alternate facts. I brought the receipts, and everyone else can just take a bite of that.
Straight facts, homie. That's Trey Wingo right there. Great stuff. Enjoy your weekend, Trey. Thanks so much.
Anytime, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great stuff right there. Trey Wingo, the Wingo Network, the Trey Wingo Network, Straight Facts, homie, and a lot more. And that Inside the NFL sounds like a hell of a show. And for anyone who doesn't know what I was referencing, there was a lot of back and forth on social media after the Ryan Clark firing from ESPN, where Emmanuel Acho, who I'm not a big fan of, was basically saying that Ryan Clark did this, Ryan Clark did that. And Trey was like, hold up, man. Let me go on and pull back the curtain a little bit. Let me show you the receipts on who was watching what and when. And the thing about it is, and I don't really try to, jump into the pool of what was better when and what era was better and this, that, and the third. The way that we consume sports, the way that we consume radio, the way that we consume shows like this are so different now in 2026 than it was in 2016 or 2012 or 2006 or 2006, whatever the case may be. It has evolved so much. Remember, there was a time when if you wanted to see what happened on Sunday Night Football, you literally had to tune in somewhere to see the highlight. Now you can just pull out your phone and be like, what's going on with Sunday Night Football? Oh, man, or you'll get an alert. Oh, my God, this just happened. Everything has evolved so much that it's really hard to judge what was good at a certain point, what's good right now. And so I never really deep dive into that. But I also don't come for the ones that paved the way and act like, well, what we're doing makes this better and our S doesn't stink. And, well, they weren't that good back in the day. No. They're the ones that paved the way. The only reason that we're here is because of them. So I would never do what was getting caught up on social media. And that's why Trey said, I brought the receipts. Right? Numbers don't lie, and he's not wrong about that. So I definitely appreciate him and his time this afternoon. We got Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, joining us coming up at 4 o'clock to talk all things Cardinals, give us a little strength, weakness, and X factor for the Arizona Cardinals, the Week 17 opponent for the Silver and Black. But as we're here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, where parking is always free, there's always a lot of water here in the building. There's all kind of drinks and food and TV action and the betting kiosk and all the gaming that you can imagine is definitely here. We still got some prizes sitting here on the table. We've had a couple people stop by and pick up some things here and there, but you can come on by. We've got plenty still remaining, and we'd love to say what's up and shake your hand and holler at you for a quick minute. So come on by if you have the opportunity, if you're in and around town, and just say, you know what? It's too hot out here. Let's go on and get inside, because it's nice and AC'd in here. I even brought my hoodie. I ain't had to put it on yet, but it always at some point in here it gets a little chilly, no matter what the temperature is outside. And so that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. But come on by and say what's up and hang out with us. We threw the number out there to you at 702-365-9200. Christmas in July. What is the one gift that you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? East Oakland Raider hit us on the text line. What it do, Q? I would give the squad a good offensive line like that car insurance line. I wonder what we would do with that. Raiders. Yeah, I mean, that would be a win. That would be a huge win right there, East Oakland Raider. Thanks so much for that. That car insurance, that offensive line was incredible, right? They really were. The way that they were able to just manhandle opposing defensive lines to the point where I think it was against Denver, right? Sunday Night Football where they ran the play 13 plays in a row, same play. And Donald Penn told us, like, yeah, we ran the same thing. They just couldn't stop it. Was it against Denver? I think it was against Denver. And it was just one of those things. But that's how dominant that offensive line was. And as Trey Wingo brought up, when the Cowboys were dominant, yeah, Emmitt Smith was great, right? Michael Irvin was great. Troy Aikman was great. But why were they great? Because the dudes up front, that offensive line, like you can normally trace most really good teams back to the trenches, right? The Eagles. Saquon Barkley ran for 2,000 yards. Why did he run for 2,000 yards? Because that offensive line was an absolute animal. If the Raiders could ever get to that, that'd be another ballgame. Now, the one thing I'll say, and that's only if they're able to come together with this offensive line and this blocking scheme that they have. This is that blocking scheme that a lot of running backs have turned into really good running backs, right? This is the old Mike Shanahan, right? Going back to Coach Shanahan. This is that zone blocking scheme. Gary Kubiak ran it to perfection there in Houston. Remember Arian Foster, undrafted free agent, led the league in rushing multiple years? It seemed like every year Denver had 1,000-plus yard back. It didn't matter who it was, right? Hey, this guy's gone to free agency. Don't worry about it. Got another running back. All right, what's he going to run for? 1,200, right? It's just so this is that blocking scheme that if you can figure it out, if you can pick it up, if you can actually operate correctly out of it, you could have a lot of success. The Raiders have the running backs as far as I'm concerned. Ashton Jeanty, I believe, is that guy. I know there's a lot of questions, and I don't mind asking the question, but I do think that he could be the dude. I have really no doubt that he could be the dude, especially in this blocking scheme, but they have to be able to pick it up. And then to have Mike Washington as well, and I think a guy who's going to make the squad, even though he's an undrafted free agent, I think Roman Hemby out of Indiana is going to have a little something to say about it as well. He might be a practice squad guy or special teams guy, but I think he's going to have something to say about it as well. You got some backs. Now you just gotta come together and work with that offensive line to be productive. We got a text from Jersey Dave. He said, Christmas in July, a quarterback needed team calls the Raiders before game 1 and trade him, and then Aiden O'Connell starts game 1 and 2, and Fernando takes over game 3 in New Orleans. Okay, so I got this. So Jersey Dave is basically saying a quarterback needy team calls the Raiders before the first game of the season, which is against Miami at home, and trades for Cousins, and then O'Connell starts game 1 and 2, and then Fernando takes over game 3 in New Orleans. So that's the gift that he's giving the Raiders ahead of training camp. That's creative. That's creative. And we know injuries happen, so a team could become quarterback needy really quickly. I honestly think if that was going to be the case, the scenario, I think that would happen closer to the trade deadline. Maybe a team that was having some success, all of a sudden their quarterback went down, and they feel like that they have enough weapons, they have enough pieces in place, maybe they have familiarity with Kirk, says, let's go get that guy. Let's go try to bring him in real quick and try to save our season. I think that would happen closer to the trade deadline, but that's me. And, of course, if there's an injury that happens in training camp, then all bets are off. But there you go. I'm not mad at that. Just Win Will hit us on this Aloha Friday, brought to you by Zippy's. Aloha Q, Aloha Ari, Aloha Nation. Duck, no duck. Mary, kiss my duck. LOL. That's it. Have a great show, fellas. Have a safe weekend. Aloha Raiders. Linebackers show improve. We don't need no true stinking X. There you go. I like it. Fabian said, Q, I call it Twitter too. There you go. Fabian's got my back. He also is going to tweet out -4 at some point, and we're going to say, oh, dang it. He got us again. Sir Whiskey Ray, hit us up. Happy Aloha Friday, gentlemen. Loving today's topic. Here's my Christmas gift to our Raiders, an elite top 3 defense. Whoa. I've said it many times. I want elite championship defense. Raiders. Cheers. Sir Whiskey Ray. P.S. How's Mama Q feeling about LeBron to Philly? Look, Mama Q is just happy LeBron ain't in L.A. That's all she cares about. She is Team Kobe Bryant, and you know there's a line in the stand. You're either Team Kobe or you're Team LeBron. You're not really a combination of the two. I don't know any true blue Laker fans that are big LeBron fans, because when you see LeBron, I don't think anyone thinks Lakers. Yes, I know he was there 8 seasons. I get it. I know they won a championship in the bubble. I get that. As far as I'm concerned, all championships are created equal. You won a championship, you won a championship. I don't care if it was in the bubble. I don't care if it was in L.A. I don't care if it was in the southern tip of Africa. You win a championship, you win a championship. With that being said, I don't think real deal, true Laker fans look at LeBron James as an all-time Laker great. I don't. Okay, I don't see it like that. I see them saying Kobe was a Laker, Magic Johnson was a Laker, Kareem was a Laker. All those jerseys up in the rafters were Lakers. LeBron was a player that came to the Lakers. That's how it is. I think he has more rights to be a member of the Heat than he does to be an all-time Laker great. And I'll tell you that he went to Dwayne Wade's team when he was in Miami, and Dwayne Wade did him a solid, like Steph Curry did when Kevin Durant went to Golden State and said, all right, hey, you do you, and I'll fit in around you. That was actually probably the smartest move that Dwayne Wade made, making LeBron feel comfortable there in Miami until he wasn't comfortable anymore. Thanks so much for the text. Definitely appreciate you. 702-365-9200. My man Thor is in the Vegas traffic right now. Thor, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
What's happening, brother? It must have been some kind of accident because traffic just broke a little bit. That's great. Yo, man, I'm fired up as always, man. Christmas is whatever, we're in July here in the hell heat. Hey, for me, health is wealth, brother. Health is wealth. If I could give us anything, it would be everyone's going to stay healthy all year. I need everyone to stay healthy, especially on the offensive line, defensive line, and corners. As long as everyone's healthy, I think we could be a lot better than everyone thinks. Stay healthy. Y'all go out there, work hard, stay healthy, and let's shock the world and win double-digit games this year, Raider Nation. Yay!
There he is, Thor. The traffic is not so thick now. It must have been some kind of accident, some kind of little, slow down or whatever the case may be. And those things happen. Those things always happen, as a matter of fact, especially when it's a little hot outside. So, always allow yourself a couple of extra minutes if you're going somewhere and you got to be there in a timely fashion. So there it is right there. Really good call. And health is wealth, man. I think that's been the overall theme for the majority of folks that have chimed in. Health, and more health. If they can stay healthy, that's giving themselves an opportunity. I'm not mad at that at all. 702-365-9200. Let us know your thoughts. What is the one gift you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp? It's a little Christmas in July here on RaiderNation Radio 920. Our guy Quick hit us on Twitter, and yes, it's Twitter. Cue ball. I'd give the Raiders the gift of overachievement. Overachievement leads to confidence. Confidence leads to playing better and faster. Playing better leads to winning. Also at Ari Produces, at RNR 920 AM, at your boy Q254. Overachieving. Nothing wrong with that. Quick, it's always great to hear from you. Hopefully we catch up sooner rather than later. Ari, I know you got some winning on the way. What you got, my man?
Yes, I do. I have a pair of tickets to see the Aviators for the versus the Tacoma Rainiers on August 8th, LV Ballpark. Tickets available at Ticketmaster or right now, give me a call, 702-365-9200, caller 9, and must be a Nevada resident.
There it is right there. Ari's got winning. We've got winning. Come on by and say what's up. Golden Circle Sportsbook, inside of TI, Treasure Island. Parking is always free with RaiderNation Radio 920.
DK motions out to the left. Cam Ward going to throw, trying to set up the screen. There's pressure. He's tripped and sacked. Max Crosby got him from behind. Malcolm Kuntz was right in front of him. There are extra bodies there, too. And a third sack of the half for the Raiders defense, and it's a 3-and-out.
Right now, we're doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke, doing car care right.
And we are back here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI Treasure Island, where the parking is always free. And we come into the sound of Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz with a sack there against the Tennessee Titans. And we'd like to hear Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz and everyone else, Adam Butler and Kwity Paye and anyone along the defensive line. You'd like to hear their names called early and often this season when it's talked about getting to the quarterback and having an impact. And obviously Robbie Leonard is now manning that Raiders defense. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. As we do football right, we do turn our attention to that Raiders defense. And our guy that's always on the show on Mondays at 2:30, Kirk Morrison, part of the Raiders broadcast, does a fantastic job. There's a lot of times you'll hear him on and see him on ESPN filling in for the Rich Eisen show, or he'll be on some network broadcasting the game, doing a hell of a job as he always does. He also was a guest on the Jim Rome show. You can hear Jim Rome whenever JT's not on the air. He's kind of when JT's not there, we have, national programming, and that's when you'll hear the Jim Rome show. But Kirk was on the Jim Rome show just the other day, and he was talking about the Raiders defense.
We feel like we got a first-round pick in Max Crosby. Like, think about it. We thought he was gone. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do without Max? And all of a sudden the trade doesn't happen, right? And Max is still a Raider. And so we went through that little 2 days of grief, and then we realized we've got a first-round, generational, talented guy who can go out and get after the passer. He's the leader of this defense. There'll be a new defensive coordinator this year, and Rob Leonard, who was the defensive line coach the previous couple of seasons. And this is going to be a different type of defense. This is going to be attacking a downhill. Rob loves the blitz. You can just see it in him, and he wants to bring pressure, and the pressure is really going to be. He loves it, dude. Like, this is what he wants to do, man. So I love that this new defense will allow Max Crosby, I think, to go to a different level of I think where he's at in his career. Now, look, we've added some pieces along, whether it's through the draft or, bringing on a Kwity Paye who's going to play on the opposite side of him, or bringing back Malcolm Kuntz, guys who can get after the quarterback. But I think the big thing here is that the Raiders went out and spent a lot of money in the draft. When you're talking about offseason moves and bringing in Quay Walker at linebacker along with Nakobe Dean, and then they go out and draft 4 dudes in the secondary. They are going to cover on the back end to give Max and those guys up front enough time to get after the quarterback, man. I'm excited to see what this defense looks like. It's going to be some guys who are very versatile. And one thing you already know, Jim, they play for the Raiders. So what does that mean? They are fast. They got some speed behind them.
Kirk Morrison right there as a guest on the Jim Rome show, just talking about his expectations for this Raiders defense. And, that could be the answer to the question, like Sir Whiskey Ray said. When I threw it out there, a little Christmas in July we're having here on the show, what is the one gift you give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? And Sir Whiskey Ray said a top 3 defense. Now, that might be a little rich, being top 3, but can you be middle of the pack? Right? Could you not give up 25 points a game? And the best defense might be a quality offense as well. So the defense doesn't have to be on the field the whole damn game. So that also works in their favor. So if you can have what I believe is going to be a pretty solid offense. I'm not saying it's going to be some top-flight offense, best offense in the world. I'm not saying that. That'd be foolish, right? That would me just have silver and black glasses on and thinking everything is rainbows and puppy dogs. Like, I'm not going to do myself like that. I'm sure I'm not going to try to sell that to you. But I do think they're going to be a whole hell of a lot better than what we've seen in the past few years, where they have just dropped. Like, they just dropped in a major way each and every year. They went from averaging like 21 points a game to about 18 points a game to 14 points a game. You're going in the wrong direction, right? It's like when your GPS is yelling at you, rerouting, still rerouting. Like at some point, hey, dude, like, you're going in the wrong direction. Turn your stupid behind around. Oh, hey, you know what? I think I'm going the wrong direction. Well, that's what the Raiders have been doing offensively. Wrong direction. I remember in 2024, Antonio Pierce told us that in Costa Mesa, hey, what are your expectations for this Raiders offense? 24 points a game. That's what we need to get. And they weren't there, and they haven't gotten anywhere close. As a matter of fact, they've gone the wrong direction. So if this team can get them back, Clint Kubiak and company with this scheme can get them back towards 20, 21 points a game where they were when AP said that, at least that gives them a chance. But 14 points a game, you're not going to win at all. 14 points a game is nothing. Teams get 14 points on accident. You got to be able to score, and that's your best defense. Obviously, you need to be able to stop them, and they've got playmakers now on all levels. So if you have a offense that's worth half a salt, and you have a defense that's got some playmakers on the line, in the linebacking room, the secondary, and the safeties, all of a sudden, now you're giving yourself a chance. That still doesn't guarantee you're going to get a dub, but at least you got a chance. 14 points a game, you ain't got a chance at nothing. 702-365-9200. We do want to hear from you. Like I said, that could very easily be the answer to the riddle when we talk about what is the one gift that you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp and why. But I did want you to hear from Kirk Morrison as he was a guest on the Jim Rome Show just talking about the Raiders' defense. And that is, my friends, how we do football right.
Doing football right on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Meineke. Doing car care right.
So that's how we do football right there here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Unnecessary Roughness. And do want to continue to hear from you at 702-365-9200. We threw the question out there. What is the one gift that you'd give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp and why? Brazy said, Q, I'm doing it, not getting too crazy, but gifting the Raiders a playoff berth. The stars align. The WFOs appear. Max is back. Raider Nation is back in the playoffs. Brazy in Vegas. So there you go. He's going all the way there. That's the gift that he's given, is talking about playoffs. Talking about playoffs. And look, things happen, right? Things happen. The ball bounces the right way, right? I mean, I don't want to sit there and say that there's no chance that can happen because we've seen it happen. But, again, I don't want to set you up for failure and sit there and say that, those are the expectations. Like, this is a playoff or bust team. Like, I don't want to do that. But I get it. In the spirit of gift giving, that could be, the gift that Brazy's feeling comfortable giving the silver and black. Jerry said, Q was good. Don't forget my boy Jerry West. No, never that. Could never forget Jerry West. Right? Can't forget the logo. Not at all. Andy said, Q, if the Philly crowd pelted Santa Claus with snowballs, what do you think they're going to do to LeBron? Yeah, that's a funny one. That is hilarious. I actually heard somebody on the radio earlier talking about LeBron to Philly and said, we're going to show him more love than he's seen anywhere. And I was like, they do know he's talking about Philly, right? Philly don't show love to nobody. They threw, like you said, man, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus, man. Like that's a cold game. So there's that. Sergio said, Q, where are you at today? Treasure Island, TI, Golden Circle Sportsbook. David said, word of the day. What is the word of the day? All right, you got the word of the day for David?
Strong. STRONG. Strong.
My man yelled that. He yelled that with a whole lot of strength behind that.
It's my hopes and dreams that they will get it right.
I heard that. So strong is the word of the day. The Southern California, the theme park is what we're doing. It's the last day. Next week we'll have another trip that we're going to send you to, and of course you can take the trip or you can take the cash, and that's brought to you by Terribles, and the cash is $3,000. All you got to do is text that word, as Ari said, very strong, and said with his chest, it is strong. So go ahead and get that in by 5 o'clock, and you're immediately in to win the trip or in to win the cash. One more quick text, and then we'll take a break. This one comes from our guy Lyle. Said, I'd leave a note on the tree saying, there ain't no Santa Claus coming down the chimney. Go make your own gifts, and success, luck, and fortune favors the most prepared. Okay, there you go. He ain't gifting nothing. Go create your own gifts. Go create your own, you forge your own path. Okay? Okay, that'll work. Hey, man, look, people, I ain't mad at that. People call me the Scrooge all the time. As I always told the kids in the house, look, you got options. You can have a gift or you can have a tree. You can't have both, right? And what do you want with the tree anyway? You just got to have to decorate that bad boy and take that bad boy down. So I might as well just get you some gifts. I always gave them options, so I feel like me and Lyle would we'd be on the same page. Less work to do. Just give you a simple gift, no tree, no lights. Don't worry about it. Matter of fact, you tell me what you want. I'll just make it happen. Then it won't be no surprise. It won't be like, I don't know if little Johnny's going to like this or not. I don't know. No, I know little Johnny's going to like it because he picked it out, right? It makes it all easy. Everyone's happy. Simple. I got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. We're all happy. Now go do your chores. That's where I'm at. 702-365-9200. We want to continue to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts. Again, we're here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI. We're here till 5 o'clock. We definitely want you to and say what's up. What is the one gift you would give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? Let us know your thoughts. We'll hear from you as we close out hour number 2 of the show. It's RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness. Brought to you by Zippies.
Coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we'll be talking to Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Talking all things Cardinals just to get a little bit of idea of who or what to expect from them. They'll be the Week 17 opponent for the Raiders, team outside the division. So, we'll have obviously plenty of talk about the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, but definitely get our thoughts on and get some knowledge about the Arizona Cardinals. We'll do that coming up at 4. We're here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, Treasure Island. It's the spot. Come on by, hang out. We're here till 5 o'clock. We've got some more prizes on the table that you could take home with you. But we do want to hear from you. At 702-365-9200. Been doing a little Christmas in July action today. What's the one gift you'd give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp, and why? And Scott said, my gift to the Raiders is relevant at Christmas, not being eliminated by Halloween. That's Raiders Scott. I like that. Really, really good. And yeah, the later in the season, the better, right? How awesome is it to be in late December and still being in the mix, right? Just like Brazy said, he's talking about, gifting them a playoff berth. Just being able to talk about a team that's in the hunt in December is great. It makes every game so exciting and intriguing. The division games are there as well, and so how many things could change quick, fast, in a hurry. So that's always the goal, right? Being in the hunt in December, knowing that you have a chance, every single game matters, and that's why the schedulers have set the schedule up the way that they have, where there's relevant games for the division early in the season, and then they backload it as well with division games at the end. So there's a chance that, if a team's in the mix, maybe they can win a playoff berth like the Raiders did back in 2021 when they literally won their playoff spot in Week 18, last game of the season, Sunday Night Football. They had been flexed into it, and they beat the Chargers there at Allegiant Stadium. Let's go out to the phone lines at 702-365-9200. Let's go out to Oakland, California, talk to Anders. Anders, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Oh, not much. I'm actually calling you from Sweden, but I do live in Oakland, so I thought I'd give you a call. I had an idea for you. Next time that you're going to do like a best of when you take a little vacation,
yep.
I would love to have 1 hour of the best of Money Mitch's calls, and I would laugh consistently for at least 60 minutes straight. That guy is the funniest damn guy ever. I absolutely adore listening to this guy. He goes all over the place, but how funny would that be? 1 hour of Money Mitch. That's all I got for
comedy.
you.
That would be comedy, my man. That would be straight comedy. Oh, my gosh. Thanks so much for the call. All the way from Sweden. That's fantastic. Calling all the way from Sweden, but from Oakland. There you go. Thank you, my man.
All right. You betcha. Bye now.
All right. See ya. Have a great weekend on this Aloha Friday. Calling from Sweden. That's fantastic. We are all over the place. We are all over the spot, and I can appreciate that. Look at that. Money Mitch getting some love. Right? There's been times when, Money Mitch hasn't got a ton of love, but Money Mitch is getting some love. Funny guy. He is a funny dude. He's that one guy. I say it all the time. Every family's got a Money Mitch. I don't know what his name is, but every family's got a Money Mitch. And you'll sit around and listen to him, and sometimes you'll understand exactly what he's saying. Other times you're like, oh, he's all over the place, but so that's my uncle, or that's my nephew, or that's my cousin, whatever the case may be. Everyone's got one in the family, and this is the family, and we definitely embrace them. Thanks for the call. Really do appreciate that. Let's see. This one comes on the text line from Gustavo AQ. I'd gift our team mental, physical, and emotional health. Every year we take a huge blow in any of those areas. Yeah, that's, health has been mentioned many times. I like the fact that you went mental, physical, and emotional, right? You took all elements of it, but health has been something that a lot of people are really focused in on, and that just shows you, and it's not like it's breaking news or anything, but how important a healthy team is. Again, it gives you a chance. Just because you're healthy doesn't mean you're going to win, but it gives you a chance. And that's the most important thing, because a lot of teams just don't have depth, and the Raiders definitely don't have depth. So there's some teams that obviously have a little bit more depth than others, but for the most part, the way free agency is, If you have depth, that's not going to be there very long because they're going to go and sign with another team where they have an opportunity to play. So it's hard to continue to restock the shelves, and that's why you have to go and you have to draft so well. And you have to continue to draft so well. And the Raiders, I feel like, are drafting better, but right now what we've seen is not proven. So once it becomes proven, then you know, okay, yeah, these guys definitely can, fill that void. These guys definitely can, make that that deep run. And if they suffer an injury here or there, they can, overcome it. But that's so hard for so many teams, and the Raiders definitely are in that category. Thanks for that. I do appreciate you. Let's see. This one comes from Felix in the 818. He's still rolling, Ari, with this duck motto. Hey, Q and Ari, quack. I know this isn't from training camp, but all I wish for them is to win a game at SoFi. And when you're going to SoFi for a tailgate or set one up for all us Raider fans living in Cali, quack. Great stuff as always. Felix in the 818. I love it. The duck theme is rolling on. The duck theme continues to roll on here, and I could definitely appreciate that. So yeah, that's what they need to do. Raider fans always show up and show out at SoFi Stadium. The problem is the Raiders don't win at SoFi Stadium, and that's when they need to start rewarding the fan base with some wins there at SoFi. So when we say that, it's like a home game being in L.A., it truly is, like a home game where you can go there and win, and, that's the home stadium as well. Look, bottom line, they just need to just win. Just win everywhere. I mean, again, it's coming off a 3-win season. So you need to win everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're at home, on the road, but obviously you want to start to establish some winning culture at the house, and LA's right down the street. It's quick hop, skip, and a jump. So if you can do that and start winning there, that is a plus as well. David in San Leandro said Money Mitch can only do 30 minutes. The other 30, he'd be on 95.7 or other shows. Oh, that's true. That's true. Money Mitch don't hang with us too long. Money Mitch is like, all right, I'm with Q right now. I'll be with 95.7 the game later. I'll be with D-Lo and KC later. I'll be on ESPN radio with Freddie and Harry later. Hey, look, Money Mitch, he loves him some radio, man, and he has not found a radio dial that he is not a fan of. Right? If Money Mitch falls on a station and it's talking sports, he is in and he is calling. I don't remember who it was, but someone called me one time and said, hey, is that Mitch guy that he used to deliver for FedEx? And I said, no, he used to deliver for UPS. And they're like, that's what I thought. And they heard him on 95.7 The Game talking about being a delivery driver. So, yeah, Money Mitch is he's definitely a famous guy all over. So there you go. I could appreciate that. Nothing wrong with that. All right, do we have time to get one more quick call, or what do we got?
Yeah, go ahead, Charles.
All right, let's go to Charles in Oregon. Charles, welcome to the show. What you got?
Hey, Q and Ari, aloha Friday to you. So real quick, what I got for you. Number one, if you're going to do an hour of Money Mitch, can you give me a heads up because I'm going to need a beer. Number two, all right. Number two, so if I was going to give him a gift, everybody's giving him help. You know what I got for all those boys on those Raiders? Here's what I got for you. They're going to have the gift of high football IQ and learning quickly, because they asked Brock Bowers, what's it like picking up this offense of Clint Kubiak? And he said, it's pretty complicated. You talk about Shanahan, their type of offense, it's going to be a lot for them to learn on the offensive side. And with the new defensive coordinator and Rod Leonard, they're going to have a lot. Those former Raiders that came from last year, they're going to have a lot to learn. So I hope they have high football IQ and the ability to learn fast. Aloha. You guys have a great weekend. God bless.
You do the same, man. Thanks so much. Definitely appreciate you. Great feedback there. Good stuff. Keep that party rolling, man. 702-365-9200. Hit up the text line. It's Christmas in July action. What is the one gift you give the Raiders ahead of the start of training camp? And Wise will be out there at training camp next week, and they'll start to put the pieces together. We've got Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, my guy, and my man Ari reached out to him, and Alex is giving me a bad time about it. We'll actually talk about it as we kick off hour number 3, live from TI. That's next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
still ongoing. It's been productive between, us and his team. He's here, he's under contract, and it's the first day of practice. So right now, I'm not even going to get into all those specifics. Obviously, didn't have him through OTAs or mini camp or anything like that. So right now, just getting him up to speed with our operation, with our cadence, with our formations, our no huddle package, our pass game, our run game, all that kind of stuff.
It's the Raiders opponent preview. Right now on Unnecessary Roughness.
Kicking off hour number 3 of the show, it is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920, and we've been focusing in on teams that are outside of the Raiders division, just getting a little bit of strength, weakness, and X factor for each of the teams. And in the particular instance that we're talking about here, the Raiders are actually going to play this team twice. They're going to play them the first game of the preseason and then week 17 in the regular season, talking about the Arizona Cardinals. We're here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, where parking is always free. Come on by. We're here till 5 o'clock. Join us now to talk all things Cardinals is our guy, Alex Clancy, host of Locked On Cardinals. And, Alex, thanks so much for your time. We do appreciate you on this Aloha Friday. How's everything doing for you, my man? How's the couple days before camp opens up for you?
It's good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's I'm terrified. I don't know what the hell's going to happen, and I'm here for it. I'm excited for all the young players who are finally healthy again.
Yeah, I heard that. Health is something that we've been talking about quite a bit here on this show. And so when you look at the Cardinals, and obviously Jacoby Brissett is a big deal with that whole contract thing, that's going to get worked out, right? To me, it feels like it's just kind of like an after story.
Yeah, they both agree that he needs more money. He's only guaranteed, his base salary is 1.5 this year, so obviously Gardner Minshew's making 6, the backup, so obviously he's going to need to make more than that. The problem here is I think he wants back pay from last year, and I think he wants assurances for 2027 because they're going to need a veteran arm in that room, even if they do draft a rookie quarterback. So I think he's looking for his one payday. He's never made this much in a year that he's going to make this year, so he wants to milk it as much as possible. And I don't think the Cardinals care enough about 2027 to warrant more than what they're willing to offer. I think the number's probably around 15.
So we've been talking a lot about the quarterback situation here with the Raiders. Obviously, Cousins is a veteran, Mendoza is the rookie, and then Aiden O'Connell is also a veteran, but only, a couple of years in. And would the Raiders carry 3 quarterbacks? It sounds like and feels like it's a no-brainer that the Cardinals are going to carry at least 3 quarterbacks. Is that how you're feeling about this situation? Because they got Minshew, as you mentioned, and Brissett, and then Carson Beck, who just signed his deal.
Yeah, it looks to be 3. So the tricky part here is, and I kind of argue with myself on the show with this, it's like, okay, so Jacoby Brissett definitely gives them the best chance to win. But if he goes scorched earth and he wants $25 million, he's not going to budge. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, this offense is very team-friendly. It's very quarterback-friendly. It's very offensive line-friendly. They're going to run the ball a lot. Gardner Minshew can do it, but the best opportunity to win games for the Cardinals is Jacoby Brissett. So I think they will get it figured out, and they're going to run with 3. Yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be clunky. The only thing that can happen for the Cardinals is they start Jacoby Brissett 4 games after giving him $15 million for this year, and then you start Gardner Minshew for 2, and then Carson Beck takes over. It's going to be kind of a nightmare, but we'll kind of see how it pans out. I think this offense is going to be a lot better than people think, though.
Yeah, if they go in that approach that you just mentioned, it sounds like a big waste of resources.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
That would sound like a big waste of resources. Again, Alex Clancy is with us here. RaiderNation Radio 920, Necessary Roughness. Well, they will be running quite a bit with Jeremiah Love. How excited are Cardinal fans to have that young stud coming out of Notre Dame?
Yeah, it's just too bad he can't rush the passer or protect the quarterback, which is what they really needed. But the fact that they got dude, it's going to be so fun. What are we doing here? You and I have been in this space a long time, but we're still fans of football, and, I'm so excited to see what they can do. Now, Cardinals fans are excited, but I've been tempering expectations, and I think that you would probably give this same little angle here is, he's never been the 90% touch guy. Him and Jadarian Price were 60-40, 65-35 in college. They just signed Tyler Algier. I thought he was going to be RB1, and the fact you bring Jeremiah Love in here in a system that split pretty much down the middle last year, probably 60-40 with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, I wouldn't be surprised if it was kind of the same. It's just going to be fascinating to see how they use him in the pass game because the Cardinals do not have speed on this team. They do not have that burner, and Jeremiah Love is really fast. So I don't know if they're going to use him in the slot. I don't know if they're going to use him like Christian McCaffrey, but yes, it is going to be very fun to watch this 20-year-old running back to be an Arizona Cardinal hopefully for the next decade.
How good or how solid, I should say, is the offensive line right now for the Cardinals? Because as I know, if your offensive line's not in place, that stud running back's not going to be as effective as he should be. Saw that last year with Ashton Genty.
Yeah, has he been on ice ever since Week 18 of last year? Like, does he just have ice packs? Like, I couldn't have, dude. I mean, Colton Miller can't, he can't block 5 positions. It's good enough. It's good enough. Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be, he may reset the market. He's not like the next Trent Williams or something like that, but he's a very solid young left tackle. They brought in Isaac Seumalo, who had a really good run. He was with Philly earlier on, and he was with Pittsburgh the last couple of years. He's going to shore up that left guard position. And then Yalta Froholt is one of the unsung centers in the NFL right now, and he's great. So the right side is going to be a little bit more problematic. Isaiah Adams decided to get, into some gun trouble in Canada, which is fantastic for the Cardinals. It's like, we'll see what happens there. If they're going to start the rookie, Chase Besantis from Penn State, from Texas A&M, is he going to move over to the right side that he hasn't played in college? And then Elijah Wilkinson is kind of a journeyman at right tackle. So it's going to be good enough. But I don't know, about the McVay offense as I do, McVay with the Rams, they aren't like these wunderkinds who find 5th and 6th round guys and, they're now starters and they're going to the Super Bowl. This offense is very offensive line friendly, long-winded to say.
No, that's fine. Look, as long as they can generate some kind of blocking scheme up there to give Jeremiah Love and anyone else trying to tote the rock an opportunity, man, that's a win right there. Again, Alex Clancy is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. So what would you say, if you're looking at this team, what would you say the strength is going to be in 2026?
Damn well better be the offense. It's like Q, you and I have been talking a long time about these teams, and with Kyler Murray and Cliff, it was supposed to be the offense. It wasn't. With this new offense that they had with Drew Petzing, it was supposed to be the offense, and it wasn't. These injured Buda Baker-led defenses have been the stable point of this organization pretty much since 2017, and it needs to be the offense. If the offense doesn't work, we're going to be talking about Michael LaFleur being out after 2 years. So the strength needs to be the run game and the pass game working simpatico and not just being 1099 employees for the same organization. There was no bounce for either of those. You've got to be able to set up, and that's what this offense does. So the offense should take care of itself when the Cardinals finally get to the 21st century calling the plays.
How much concern is there with Marvin Harrison Jr. with all the hype that he had coming out of Ohio State?
So, it hasn't been fantastic. Right. But he's he had 900 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns his rookie year. Look at the touchdown numbers for top-flight dudes not named Jamar Chase their first couple of years. Marvin's mopped the floor. He's had 12 touchdowns in his first 2 years. He was out a lot last year. My biggest thing for him is this is the best scenario he's been in the NFL. Say what you want about Nathaniel Hackett. He's had a bad PR, ever since getting fired in Denver. That dude cultivated Devontae Adams. He was there when Devontae Adams was not good at football, when he couldn't catch a football, when Jordy Nelson tore his ACL that year. And then in 2021, he was the OC. He was calling the plays for the best offense that year when they had Devontae Adams, Equinemius St. Brown, and Alan Lazard. And Aaron Rodgers is pretty good then, his MVP year. But if there's anybody that can get wide receiver 1 out of Marv, it's Nathaniel Hackett, Michael LaFleur, and a sneaky little aside is Matt Schaub, who, for those who don't know, threw to Andre Johnson for years and years. They know how to make a wide receiver 1, and the offense unapologetically targets that wide receiver 1. So he's going to have the opportunity this year better than he has the last couple of years. So I think he's still going to be fine. I think he's still going to be fine.
That's so funny that you brought up Matt Schaub. I've been talking about him quite a bit over the last few days. When he was with the Raiders back in 2014 and Derek Carr won the job in preseason game number 4. Do you remember when he was in Houston and he was throwing pick 6 after pick 6 after pick 6?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Yeah, that was
for sure.
awful. And then the Raiders were like, yeah, we'll pick him up, no problem. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, he had a shelf life. He had a shelf life for sure.
Yeah, and when the Raiders had him, his shelf life had already expired. But the good thing is they drafted Derek Carr, and they didn't have to worry about it. He was able to take over week 1 of that 2014 season. So, all right, so we know the strength. So what do you look at as the weakness then for the Cardinals?
Pass rush. It's pass rush. Unfortunately, there wasn't a blue chipper at 3. There was a bunch of tweener guys. Arvo Reese, he's going to be an edge rusher. Has he played edge rush before? No. It's going to be fine. No, it's not. Sonny Style, same thing. So it was difficult for the Cardinals because you couldn't take Reuben Bain there, so it's pass rush. But the upside here is they've got a
stout young man named Walter Nolan who looks to be their version of what they want it to be. I'm not saying he's Aaron Donald by any stretch. If he can be a game wrecker from the interior, it kind of softens the blow a little bit for guys outside of Josh Sweat, where if you need to double, like if he's an A-gap monster and he's collapsing pockets like crazy, it's going to make lesser than pass rushers that the Cardinals have in their room outside of Josh Sweat, make their job a lot easier. So it is the weakness from just edge specific, but they've got an ace up the hole if Walter Nolan can stay healthy and be what people think he's going to be. But it's definitely pass rush.
I like Walter Nolan a lot. I really do. I would love to see him just evolve into that guy, but I feel like he's got the tools there. I mean, you see glimpses of it, don't you? And like you said, as long as he stays healthy, he looks like he could be that guy.
Dude, the first 3 snaps when he was in Dallas, his first game back after their bye week last week, it was pass deflection, sack, and pressure. And he had a pick 6 the next week. It's like if he's 80% of what we saw last year for 16 games, he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. And the Cardinals haven't had one of those since Calais, a decade ago before he left for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and he's still around the league, right? He's still around the league. Is he one more year? He's got one more year, doesn't he? Didn't he say this is last year? He's back in Baltimore?
He said that 3 times in a row. Yeah, he said that 3 times in a row. Yeah, he ain't going anywhere.
I know that's right. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals, with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. Do you see an X factor on this Cardinals team, at least ahead of training camp?
So it's Marvin Harrison Jr. is the most important Arizona Cardinal in 2026, either side of the ball. Now, if you want like another X factor, like a name that's not super, up front, like it's either Will Johnson or Garrett Williams. Williams, for those who don't, like he plays slot corner. He was Pro Football Focus highest rated corner, zone corner in 2024. He got hurt last year. He was off to the races. He got hurt multiple times. But if he's great, then that's going to be massive for the Cardinals. Then Will Johnson, the guy who's supposed to go top 10 and then had the leg injury last year, he showed flashes last year. The game wasn't too fast for him. If one of those 2 guys pop and they have a CB1 for the future, just think about this. The Arizona Cardinals haven't had a bona fide CB1 and CB2 since 2014 with Patrick Peterson and Antonio Cromartie. They have had no 2 guys on the field that really were bona fide 1 and 2s. So if they're able to do that with these guys, that's a real X factor this year.
That would be huge. That really would be. And, obviously, just like the Raiders, the Cardinals play in a very tough division. The Raiders in the AFC West, the Cardinals in the NFC West. Yeah. How do you see that division, man? Just with the Rams and everything they've done, the Seahawks are the defending champs, and the 49ers are always in the mix.
Like, Aaron Donald shouldn't be allowed to come back. Like, I don't think that would be fair. I think the Rams are going to run away with the division. I think this is their last go. I think Seattle regresses. They kind of had a Slumdog Millionaire year last year where, like, everything just went their way. I think the 49ers are too well coached to not win 10-plus games. So I think it goes Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Cardinals. I mean, losing Clint Kubiak is a big deal for the Seahawks, and, you guys reap the benefits.
Yeah, no, I've been saying that for a while, and especially the 49ers, their tight end coach ends up going to Seattle to be the OC. I don't know how that works, right? Is he going to be able to get the most out of Sam Darnold? He's never called plays before. He's a tight end coach. How is that going to go from being a guy in Clint Kubiak that's a bona fide play caller to a guy that's, just trying to figure it out like he's, playing Madden?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. And, one last thing about Clint Kubiak is, like, you understand that the Arizona Cardinals and Mike LaFleur were in an arranged marriage because neither of them got what they wanted because both of them resulted in the Raiders hiring Clint Kubiak.
Right.
So, this is Mike LaFleur in Arizona's direct byproduct of Clint Kubiak choosing to take the job with the Raiders, which is crazy.
Was there ever a time during that hiring process that you felt strong that Clint Kubiak was going to be headed to Arizona, or was that just kind of like a Hail Mary?
Absolutely not. No, I wouldn't want to coach the Cardinals in 2026. It's like what's the upside? I mean, you got the guys, you got the third overall pick. I love that Clint Kubiak is looking towards sitting Fernando Mendoza to start. Like, he's an old school guy. He's been around the game a long time through family and everything like that. Like, I think he landed in the right spot. I think it's a higher variance spot because you got Pat and Herbert and stuff like that. There's older quarterbacks in the NFC West and some question marks with Purdy and Darnold, but you got the number. You had all the money to spend this offseason. It made sense.
Yeah, no, it really did. Again, Alex Clancy is with us here, RaiderNation Radio 920. Unnecessary Roughness. We'll close out with this. It's always great catching up with you. What are your thoughts on the fact that, the Cardinals and the Raiders have to play each other twice this year, one in the preseason, and then, of course, to close the season out as well?
I think it's going to be a very fun social psychology experiment to see them as pups in the preseason and see how wildly different these teams are going to be in Week 17. You know that it's going to be so different. We don't know what the difference is going to be. We don't know if Kirk Cousins has one final hurrah and Fernando Mendoza's like, all right, see you guys next year, and then the Raiders win 7 or 8 games, like whatever it is, and then the Cardinals, I think the Cardinals can win 6 or 7 games this year. I know their schedule is brutal, but so much unknown will become known in the first 2 months, and neither of these teams are playoff teams this year. You'd expect. So Week 17, it's just going to be wildly different than what we see in the third preseason. I think it's cool. And they don't play a lot. What was the last time they played the overtime scoop and score win by the Cardinals?
I think so. Yeah, that was a
conversion.
That was a wild game at Allegiant. Yeah, that was nuts. They were Cardinals were down 20-0 at halftime. That was just absolutely.
They like to play
ridiculous.
one half of football. That's pretty much what it is.
Well, clearly the Raiders did too in that game. So there you go. That makes 2 of us if we're being real about the situation. Well, you're right. The preseason game in that Week 17 will look totally different, and probably won't even recognize half the cast of characters that played in the preseason game as opposed to the regular season game. Well, great stuff as always, my man. What are you working on that Raider fans should look at? Maybe get a little bit more interest in the Cardinals, see what they got going on.
Yep, Locked On Cardinals Monday through Friday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Yeah, man. Just hammering it every day, just like you.
There you go. Hey, well, keep on keeping on, man. We know training camp's around the corner, and it'll be full throttle. It'll be here before you know it. So always appreciate you as always, my man. Definitely thank you.
You got it. You're going to be texting me to come on the show next time, though. We announce
I will.
Again.
I will. Hey, Ari tries to get ahead of things here, and so that's what happens. But yeah, no, hey man, it's got to be a relationship between me and you. How about that?
I appreciate that. I feel very special now. Thank you.
There you go. Appreciate you. Alex Clancy, Locked On Cardinals. Great stuff as always. And yeah, hey man, look, Ari becomes super producer, and Ari's reaching out, booking all these guests, right. and then the guests are like, oh, Q's too big to reach out to me and say what's up. So, it happens.
Yeah. Hey,
so
whatever gets the
Good
job
job,
done.
Ari.
No problem.
There you go. Definitely appreciate you. Really good stuff from Alex. We got Andre Snellings from ESPN coming up around 4:30. Talk about LeBron James going to the Philadelphia 76ers, what he thinks about that move, how that makes the power shift in the Eastern Conference, and can LeBron possibly win another title there in Philadelphia? 2 years, $8 million deal is what he signed with Philadelphia with the player option. So we'll see if he actually plays those 2 years. 702-365-9200. We do want to hear from you. We got to hear from the man whose name's been talked about quite a bit throughout the course of the show without even being part of the show. That's Money Mitch. Money Mitch, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
How's it going, Q? Ari? Aloha? Everybody out there?
Aloha.
Everybody's having a good Friday?
Everyone is good. Yes, sir.
Okay. I got something for Mrs. Myers. Don't worry about the Lakers. It'll be fine. LeBron, he doesn't want to get to it. Now he's going to be the fifth banana. And he was installed by $25 million a year. Now he's going to be making $4 million a year. So you're supposed to jack your price up, not down. Do I have that correct, Q?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. He's going to be the fifth banana, but that's some team starting lineup. So any way to make it easy for that fifth ring. But it's going to be good in the East Conference. It's the easier conference. So don't worry. Lakers will find a way. They'll be in the playoffs. Q, what I wish for? Nobody gets injured this training camp. By the way, you guys were talking about me. I'm so computer illiterate. It's incredible. I can't stand it. Trying to get help. I'm going in circles. Now they want to charge me $65 a month. I'll never get my ex back. All I get is these clowns that can go and get me in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And my second thing.
Yeah, I got you.
My second thing. Well, first of all, the Cardinals are going to have some team I love that pick. That's going to be they're deep in the run game. I know they're going to be they want somebody like Arch Manning or Sam Levitt. They'll get their call next year. Hopefully, everybody skips the Jets. And for the Raiders, one more thing. I'd love to see him maybe somehow get Drake London. Maybe Lander will go for a trade Tucker for Drake London. I'll do it from the Raiders side. It's a little subjective though.
Trey Tucker catching strays. Man, that's cold.
No, he's pretty good, but he's not your number one. We're missing a real wide receiver number one, maybe in next year's draft. But I think we're going to do pretty good this year. Even though we're in the toughest conference, which we were in last place last year, I think we have the toughest schedule too, because we got to play the NFC West.
Yep.
Definitely sure. So yep. I think there are quite a few other teams that have an easier schedule than us, but we're going to win 6 or 7 games. Q, you have a nice holiday. Have a nice weekend. Talk to you.
I wish it was a holiday. Right? Every day is a holiday, Money Mitch. Thanks so much for the call on this Aloha Friday. Definitely appreciate you. You have a great weekend as well. And again, I think the overall theme has been health. I think everyone realizes how important that is, and especially when you don't have a team that's relatively deep. You have top-end talent, but you don't have a big cupboard full of talent. You don't have a ton of depth, and that's going to hurt you at the end of the day. So thanks so much for the call. Appreciate you. David in San Leandro said the gift is one of our wide receiver turns out to be a real wide receiver 1,000-plus yards and 10-plus touchdowns. That's David in San Leandro. Just Win Will said Uncle Money Mitch stays catching strays. LOL. Good thing he's got his side hustle. Swim classes sponsored by Moonlight Plumbing. He can't flush all the haters away. LOL. Or he can just flush all the haters away. LOL. That's funny. I like that. Really good stuff. Lyle said, just wondering about yesterday, Q. Does Marlon Wayans have a riff with his brothers, or was he kidding? Not ashamed to admit it, but I still find myself fantasizing about the Fly Girls. That's Lyle. No, he was just kidding. He was just kidding a lot yesterday, because that's what he does, right? He tells a bunch of jokes and nothing to get too worked up about at all, ever. That's just kind of who he is. He likes to have a good time, and he had a really good time in studio with us, and we had a really good time with him as well. So hopefully you appreciated that, and he had some he had plenty of funny things to say. But yeah, I was just talking to him about his family and growing up in them, and with all those guys, all that talent around him, and his sister, and just all the talent that he's got. He just he was just having fun. So yeah, and Livy Cutler was, as I said to him yesterday, ahead of his time, and he said everything was ahead of his time, which he wasn't wrong. But that was really cool to have him in studio yesterday. And if you want to go check out that, if you missed that interview, you can always go to lvsportsnetwork.com, find it right there, our podcast, or go to our YouTube page as well, where it is also posted up there. So thanks so much for that text. Do appreciate you. Got this text from Bloody Raider Portland in Oregon. He says, Q, my gift to the Raiders this season is a fresh face at defensive coordinator. Rob Leonard is unproven as far as I'm concerned, but he's not lining up corners 20 yards away from the line of scrimmage on 3rd and 12 like the last 5 DCs. I'll be happy. Thanks, Q. Go Raiders. So, yeah, I mean, look, Rob Leonard is new at the defensive coordinator position. I know that he got the most out of his guys along that defensive line. Even when Max went down, and even the year before when Max and Christian Wilkins went down, you still saw that defensive line getting after guys. I think he's a really good coach. He's got some really good roots where he came from working with Brian Flores, working with Coach McDonald, obviously working with Patrick Graham. He's worked with a lot of really good coaches. As a matter of fact, there was a coach that used to be on the staff with him when he was in New York with the Giants, and just randomly sent me a text and said, Robbie's going to get that defense right. Just randomly. That was the text. Robbie's going to get that defense right. And my response was, yeah, I like Robbie a lot. I think that, he's got an opportunity to be someone. He said he knows what he's doing. He definitely knows what he's doing. Just give him the time. He'll get that defense where it needs to be. So I take a lot I take a lot into consideration when people that have been there, done that, and are part of different organizations, when they, either reach out and give me some unsolicited, information or whatever, just kind of give me, even a piece of advice at times, like, hey, this is why this goes on. Like, I really do respect when people that have been there, done that, kind of give me a little bit more information. And I thought that was a cool little nugget that, hey, man, Robbie's going to have that defense right. It's like, okay, all right, you're talking my language now, because I would love to see that defense take it to another level. I have all the confidence, but as you pointed out, Bloody Raider, I mean, until we actually see it, it is unproven at this stage of the game, and I don't believe, like you said, that the corners will be lined up, 10, 15 yards off when it's 3rd and 8 or whatever the case may be. I really would like to see them get back to being more of that press coverage that they had on the outside back in the day. They used to always have that press coverage. I would love to see them do a lot more than of that than the zone, the zone coverage. Just because, again, I always thought it was so much better when they were pressing and throwing off the timing of the route that the wide receiver is running. The problem is when you go to jam at the line of scrimmage, if you miss, you're cooked. Right, and so that's one of the reasons why they play zone. But we'll see how it's all put together or mixed up. I think that's the best way to put it. They're definitely going to mix up the coverages. They're definitely going to mix up the way that this defense attacks opposing offenses. So there you go. Thanks for the text. Do appreciate that. 702-365-9200. Keep that feedback coming on the text line. Andre Snellings from ESPN. He'll join us next. We'll talk all things LeBron James to the Philadelphia 76ers. The decision has finally been made. We'll talk about it next here on RaiderNation Radio 920.
There is no other place he has a better chance to get a ring than in Philadelphia. Knicks would have been the only other place he wasn't going there. So this was the best basketball sense. The guy's taking $4 million a year over the next 2 years. Clearly the money doesn't matter to him, as he said in his tweet. This is about him bringing a title to Philadelphia. I think it'd be a great story if he does it. How can you not be drawn to that finality for LeBron James? Jordan didn't have that good of an ending. He wins his 5th title in his 4th city and goes out on top.
Now back to Unnecessary Roughness with your boy Q. Presented by Meineke, doing car care right.
And there you hear Mark Zeno from ESPN Radio talking about LeBron James to the Philadelphia 76ers as he finally officially made his decision. The NBA, really the sports world after the World Cup ended and training camp hasn't started, has really been waiting on LeBron James to make that decision. I thought he was going back to Cleveland. He chooses a new path, and that is the Philadelphia 76ers. It's Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920. And join us now to talk about that decision and more is our guy Andre Snellings from ESPN. And Dre, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you. It wasn't too long. We were at Summer League. We were talking about LeBron and where he was going to end up. We get the answer to the riddle today. It's Philadelphia. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, when we talked about it in Vegas, I think my stance when we talked was that I didn't think it would be Cleveland, but I didn't think it was going to be Philadelphia either because I thought that it just kind of felt funny. Like I thought that LeBron wanted to go to a team where he would have like a clearly defined larger role, and I don't see that he has that in Philly. I think that what he said in his announcement, in his decision 4.0, was that he seriously considered retirement. And the decision to go to Philadelphia, to me, kind of reflects that because he's gone to a team that has a good chance to compete for a championship, but that doesn't require him to play even at the level he played with the Lakers before, kind of the Luka and Austin mesh there at the end. It feels like LeBron is basically going into Philly like that's the role I want to play moving forward. That 3rd, 4th, kind of 5th role on offense, maybe doing more facilitation and, that being enough for the team to compete. So I think it's really interesting. I think that we did talk about that LeBron would probably like to try to win a championship with the 4th team because I don't know that anybody else has ever done that. And if he went to Cleveland or Miami, he couldn't do that because he's already won there. So, going to Philadelphia gives him that fresh start.
Yeah, it really does. Are you surprised that he seems comfortable with that role of being the 4 or the 5? Because it didn't seem like he was comfortable being the 3 in L.A.
Yeah, again, that did surprise me, and that's the part that makes me think that he was being sincere when he said he seriously considered retiring. Because I think that in doing the analysis I had to write up this trade for the ESPN, particularly from a fantasy sports point of view. But I was looking, so LeBron, since that championship season, he's only averaging what would translate to about 60 to 61 games a season. And that's over like a 5 or 6 year span. I think he played 60 or 61 games last year too. So that's kind of where he is right now. I mean, the man's going to be 42 years old in December. And so I think that this decision kind of acknowledges, like, yeah, I can't be the guy for an extended period, particularly in the regular season, and still have enough left to really compete when it comes to the playoffs.
and trying to get to a championship. And so him going to Philadelphia as opposed to, say, a team like Golden State, which was another that he was rumored to go to, was, to me, him acknowledging that, like, hey, we didn't have enough in Golden State because we're too old to be able to carry the load, for each other. Whereas I can come to a team like Philadelphia and let the young bucks do it. I got Maxey, I got Edgecombe, I got Jaylen Brown, and between me and Embiid, that's two former MVPs that maybe in the regular season you only get one or the other in most of the games. But the hope is that by staying fresher in the playoffs, maybe you get more of both of them.
Andre Snellings from ESPN is with us here on RaiderNation Radio 920 on Unnecessary Roughness, talking about things LeBron James and NBA. So where does that put the 76ers now? We know the Knicks are the defending champs, but where would you say the 76ers stack up in the East?
I mean, I think you got to put them right at the top. I mean, of course, the Knicks deserve their props because they just won the championship. But the 76ers showed this last season, right, that in the playoffs, if Embiid plays, even though he wasn't near 100%, they were froggy enough to beat the Celtics team that a lot of people thought were going to come out of the East. And so now you take that team and you swap out Paul George with Jaylen Brown and then just add LeBron for nothing, right? Like, because, he's playing for the league minimum. He's playing for $4 million a year, so they didn't have to give up anything to get him. Like, that is a heck of a two players to add to a team that already went to the second round and had a major upset last year in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, we have to see how it works. We've never seen these guys play together. With Jaylen Brown, I am a numbers guy, analytics guy, and, as great of a player he is, he's more of a finishing piece because his impact stats kind of indicate he's not a guy that you just put out there and build the rest of the team around. Well, now you don't need to, right? Like, he's out there with like four other all-star caliber players, including two guys that, when they're healthy, are MVP caliber players. So, this 76er squad, I feel like they legitimately earned, a favorite slot, at least in the Eastern Conference, if not in the NBA overall.
There was a lot of conversations about LeBron wanted to play with Kyrie. He wanted to play with AD, and let rumor have it, and whatever this means, is that AD was in Philly or is in Philly. He was at the Ritz-Carlton earlier today. Is there any chance that Philadelphia can make a move and maybe ship Embiid out of there and get AD in there somehow?
I don't see it. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but like my dude KG said, anything's possible. But the Wizards were very clear that they had no intention of trading Anthony Davis. That pretty much seemed like what scuttled the Golden State talk. And so to go from we're absolutely not trading him to we're going to trade him for Embiid, who, for all of the positives when he's on the court, again, I did the numbers earlier today. And since he won the MVP, he's been on the court like 39% of the time or 32% of the time in the regular season. And that translates to like 32 games a year. And so I just can't imagine that the Wizards are like, and oh, by the way, he has like a super mega max extension that's just kicking in and is going to be there for the next few years. So I don't see what the Wizards' motivation would be for this. And so, it would shock me if that happened.
Yeah, no, me too. I just saw that, and like I said, it was a rumor or a report, however you want to call it. And like I said, I kind of take it with a grain of salt, but I know that he wanted to play with AD and apparently Kyrie as well. And this leads me to one more about LeBron. Myself and Emmett Golden, we got into it the other night. It was a pretty good conversation on game night. Emmett is all things Cleveland, and he told me he believes LeBron James is a good GM. I told him I don't believe LeBron James is a good GM. What is your thoughts, Trey?
I mean, we've got a 24-year track record of him, getting to play more GM than most players get to. And we've seen results in both directions, right? I think on the whole, I would have to agree with Emmett because now, granted, he was a GM that got to build around the greatest player, at least of this generation, if not arguably of all time. So that helps as a GM when you can build around that. But his tenure as a player GM has resulted in 4 championships and 10 or 11 finals appearances. So, that's not bad. So, for every case of the Russell Westbrook just didn't fit or, bringing in players that didn't end up working long term, on the whole, I think GM LeBron building around player LeBron has put together a pretty good track record.
Well, don't tell that to Emmett, please. I don't need to hear from Emmett. I'm all right hearing it from you, but I don't want to hear from Emmett. I don't need those problems, man. Those are some problems that I don't sign up for. Again, Andre Snellings from ESPN is with us here, Raider Nation Radio 920. So, again, you were there at Summer League. We were able to catch up and check out some action and talk some hoops. What was your, overall feelings of what you were able to see and some of the young guys that were out there on display at the Thomas and Mack?
Yeah, so the articles that I've written since the Summer League have all kind of had the same theme, that this was supposed to be a historic draft class. And a lot of times when you have a lot of hype, it turns out to be kind of, a letdown when you actually get there. This is a case where it really, in Vegas, they were really impressive. I could see why this class got so much hype. Those top 4 players all showed out. All 4 of them played well. To me, Caleb Wilson, who was the 4th pick in that draft class, may have been the most impressive, not necessarily for the numbers in Vegas, but because he displayed an entirely new skill set with his three-point shot that if that continues to translate, it just kind of takes the top off of what his potential is as an offensive player. And so I thought that was really impressive. But, Cameron Boozer was just as reliable and kind of Tim Duncan-ish as far as his day-to-day production as we thought he was going to be. Darren Peterson showed just as much potential, his skill set more than the numbers. He could score from every level. He could, control the offense at times in ways that were really tantalizing. So we got to see that. A.J. DeBonsa, the number 1 overall pick, he comes in and averages 25.5 a game at the Summer League after leading the NCAA, averaging 25 a game in college. And you can see how his skill set will mesh. So just overall, I was really excited by what I saw at the Summer League. And I only mentioned those top 4 players, but there were a lot of performances, particularly from those first-round picks, that indicate we're going to see a lot of them once this NBA regular season starts.
And that's where I want to close out is with one of those picks that you didn't mention. And you know me, Warriors fan, Yaxel Linderborg. I'm not worried about them winning the Summer League championship. I can care less about that. But Yaxel, He was that guy at Michigan, and he looks like he's that guy, at least he was in Summer League. What should I expect from Yaxel when it matters, when it's the regular season?
Yeah, so Yaxel at the Summer League, so a lot of times in Summer League when it's second or third year players that come back and play, in my notes that I take as I'm watching the game, I'll write too good for Summer League because it's clear they're professional players. And Yaxel was the rare rookie that was getting that notation in my notebook because, and, granted, he's 23, 24, whereas a lot of the rookies are 19, so he's supposed to play like a man. But because he showed that at the Summer League, it suggests to me that he's ready to come in and contribute at whatever level the Warriors want him to, kind of from day one. So if he doesn't start the season as a starter, I'd be mildly surprised, but I'd be shocked if he's not a starter by the end of the season. And I don't think he's going to come in and put up those crazy Rookie of the Year numbers for the Warriors, but I think he'll be a positive impact rookie on their team and show signs of either helping extend the Currys and the veterans at a high level, but also show signs of players that can still be there after the veterans are gone.
Yeah, and I by no means think that this is a championship roster between Yax and Will Richard. They grabbed him the year ago, and then even L.J. Cryer. I think that's a nice little young, group of guys for this team. And like I said, I don't think that's championship material. But, Dre, that's not too bad for a team that's already got multiple championships under its belt.
Absolutely. And, we saw last season because Steph was injured so much and Jimmy Butler was out that they had a scrappy crew of young guys. I'm thinking guys like Brandon Podziemski, like you mentioned some of the rookies, some of the younger players. They were able to keep the Warriors at basically a play-in level even without their star players. So you add a rookie like Yaxel, it feels like the nucleus of a team that they're building moving forward. And then, oh, by the way, Steph and Dre and eventually Jimmy Butler are still there. So, if the young guys can keep them in the mix, maybe they're not a championship team, but they're a team that maybe could be fun by the time we get to the postseason.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Great stuff as always. Andre Snellings, ESPN. Dre, what are you working on, my man, that we should be on the lookout for?
Yeah, no, I spent all day today writing up this LeBron James trade. So, go to ESPN.com, especially in the fantasy section, and see my analysis, my breakdown of the deal. And I've already started updating my fantasy rankings as a result. So those fantasy rankings right now will reflect the LeBron James, but my next ones will also reflect more about the rookies. So be on the lookout for that.
Hey, we call you the professor for a reason, man. You're always dropping knowledge on us. As always, Dre, I appreciate you. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. I'll catch you next time.
All right, brother. There he goes. Andre Snellings, ESPN. Fantastic breakdown. One of the best in the business when it's talking all things NBA. And he was just here in Vegas not too long ago when Summer League was going on. I had an opportunity to catch up with him. It's always great to catch up with him. So definitely appreciate him and his time this afternoon. We hear from you as we close out the show. 702-365-9200, the Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, Treasure Island, where parking is always free. So even when I leave, you can still come through, hang out. There's a bunch of people inside the Golden Circle Sportsbook right now watching baseball between the Mets and the Dodgers and a whole lot more action. The Diamondbacks and the Nationals, whatever you want to see, they've got it, and they've got the specials for you here at the Golden Circle Sportsbook with RaiderNation Radio 920.
It's Aloha Friday on Unnecessary Roughness, brought to you by Zippies.
See, Aloha Friday made LeBron James make his decision on where he was going. He's like, you know what? I can't keep doing this. It's Aloha Friday. Let's just go ahead and make a decision. Let everybody know where I'm going. I'm going to Philadelphia. I did not think that was where he was going to end up, but hey, it's, he wants a new adventure. It's like those old books back in the day where you pick your own adventure. He picked his own adventure, so we'll see how it all plays out. I don't root against anybody, so, Philadelphia is going to be a tough team. We'll see what it means in the grand scheme of things, but there he goes. He's got the 2-year, $8 million deal to be a Philadelphia 76er. It is Unnecessary Roughness here on RaiderNation Radio 920, Golden Circle Sportsbook inside of TI, Treasure Island. Going to be here just a few more minutes, but it does not stop just because I leave. Man, the food is on the tables, the drinks are flowing, the games are being played, winning is happening, betting is going on. This is your one-stop shop. You can do everything. And they've got all the action on all the TVs as well. It's definitely one of my favorite spots to be here in town. And anytime I get an opportunity to be here, I get pretty excited. It's funny, we got here, around 1-something, and one of the ladies that works here was like, oh, you came back. You've been gone for so long. But I'm only here because our sister station, ESPN Las Vegas, Steve Cofield's usually here on Fridays, but he's out of town. So they asked me to go ahead and hold it down. And I was like, oh, T.I.? Absolutely. I'll definitely come here and hold it down. So, we'll have some more activities going on here throughout the course of the fall during football season. But this is definitely one of the spots I recommend. Anyone that always hits me up, hey, where can I go to watch the game? You can always come here to see all the games and all the action. College football, NFL, whatever the case may be. Like I said, right now baseball's on. This is the spot. So there's that. Did get a couple texts I want to get. This one's from Brazy in Vegas talking about LeBron. Q, if James don't bring a title to Philly, he's going to become their villain for life. I don't understand the decision. If it wasn't about a ring, what's it about then? Lakers should cut Bronny ASAP. That's Brazy in Vegas. And the funny thing is, I agree with that when it comes to cutting Bronny. I mean, look, that ship has sailed. You understand what that was all about, which, again, I don't put my head down to that. Like, I think that that's a hell of an accomplishment. I say it all the time. I say it in the barbershop. Believe it or not, Bronny is a guy that we argue about in the barbershop all the time. For what? I don't know. But our guy Cookham cannot stop talking about Bronny. And I said, look, if you're a father and you have an opportunity to get your son in the door in the NBA, you would do it 10 out of 10 times. And if you wouldn't, then something's wrong with you. So if I had the sway, the pull, if I had been around 20-something years and I could say, hey, man, I want to play here, but only if you go and draft my son, and they say, all right, kid, we'll do that, I would do it too. So I don't blame LeBron for doing it, but at the end of the day, he's been there a little while now. You kind of know who he is as a basketball player, and LeBron ain't coming back. Peace, right? You know, I'm moving him out of there. But the funny thing is, when LeBron announced that he was not coming back to the Lakers, was the day after Bronny's contract became fully guaranteed. This year's salary became fully guaranteed. So that was definitely strategic. It wasn't something that just happened, some coincidence like that. So there you go. And then we got a text. LeBron will be the 5th option. Ooh, yeah, he's taking a different role, a different approach, but we'll see how it all plays out for LeBron in Philadelphia. I'm just glad the decision is over. We don't have to speculate and wonder where he's going. We now know where he's going, and how is it going to look? Well, that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have at another time. So we'll be back in studio coming up on Monday, and, of course, training camp gets going officially on Wednesday. Have a great weekend. It's Raider Nation Radio 920.